Chapter 1865. In front of him was an ancient mountain range. The mountain range was undulating, and the end couldn't be seen at a glance. Ling Xiao appeared in the mountain range. Ancient trees towered into the sky, and the withered leaves on the ground were very thick. Everywhere exuded an ancient and savage aura. Roar! A powerful beast roar came from the mountain range, causing the surrounding ancient trees to tremble slightly. Leaves couldn't help but fall down. Ling Xiao released the power of his primordial spirit and roughly sensed it. The small pill talisman realm was very vast. Although Ling Xiao's primordial spirit could cover a radius of 10,000 miles, he couldn't sense the end of the small pill talisman realm. 10,000 miles away, there were lakes, plains, swamps, and also a desert with rolling yellow sand. This small pill talisman realm still retained some ancient aura. Apart from powerful demonic beasts, Ling Xiao didn't sense any other living creatures. Divine Spirit Fruit, 3-inch snake grass, Blackwood Spirit Vine, 1000-leaf flower. Ling Xiao took a closer look at the list of spirit herbs recorded in the talisman. There were actually more than 100 types of spirit herbs. Although most of them were divine herbs and could be considered as supplementary herbs, there were 9 half-step divine herbs and 1 origin divine herb. It wasn't so easy to find these 100 kinds of herbs in a day. Although everyone's list is different, I'm afraid that many people will find the same herbs. At this time, it's better to take the initiative. Otherwise, I'm afraid I'll be eliminated. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he said slowly. Entering the small pill talisman realm was a random teleportation. It was also to prevent people from forming groups that would be disadvantageous to others. Therefore, no one else appeared beside Ling Xiao. However, Ling Xiao didn't intend to find Lu Wenlong and the others. Instead, he decided to collect the herbs he needed first. Light Spirit Wood Grain Flower, Dragon Tiger Grass, Mist Spirit Fruit. It seems that these ordinary divine herbs aren't difficult to find. Ling Xiao's primordial spirit spread out and immediately saw that there were many divine herbs in the mountain in front of him. Although half-sage herbs were rare, there were many ordinary divine herbs. Whoosh! Ling Xiao leaped up and rushed into the mountain. He immediately began to collect all kinds of divine herbs. On Ling Xiao's list, there were more than a dozen divine herbs. Ling Xiao found traces on this mountain. In addition to the divine herbs on his list, Ling Xiao didn't let go of the other divine herbs and began to collect them. There are numerous treasures in this minor pill talisman world. Looks like it shouldn't be difficult to gather all the medicinal herbs on the list. Ling Xiao thought to himself. He had already swept through the surrounding 3 mountains and found more than 30 kinds of divine herbs that he needed. He even found 2 half-step divine herbs. Roar! Suddenly, Ling Xiao heard a powerful beast roar coming from the valley ahead. The earth trembled, and the mountains shook. It was as if 2 demonic beasts were fighting. The aura was extremely shocking. Judging from its aura, it's at least a half-saint demonic beast. Let's go and take a look. Perhaps there will be some unexpected gains. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed, and he instantly retracted his aura, moving stealthily towards the valley in front of him. Heavenly materials and earthly treasures were usually guarded by powerful demonic beasts. Furthermore, Ling Xiao also felt a trace of a familiar aura from the cloud valley ahead. It was like the fluctuation of spiritual herbs, but also like the aura of demonic beasts. It was very strange. Whoosh! When Ling Xiao snuck into the cloud valley, he immediately saw the 2 demonic beasts in the midst of a fierce battle. One was a black python as thick as a bucket. Its scales were sharp, and its demonic aura was monstrous. There was a golden crown on its triangular head, and its eyes were full of bloodthirsty light. The black python was entangled with a huge white tiger that was hundreds of feet tall. The white tiger's hair was pure white without any impurities. However, there were traces of blood seeping out at this moment, dyeing its white hair red. On the other hand, the white tiger looked extremely ferocious. It bit down on the black python with its bloody mouth, and the 2 formed a stalemate. It's actually two demonic beasts at the peak of the half-saint demonic beast. Could it be that they want to perish together? Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a trace of a strange expression. He didn't expect that he would encounter such a good opportunity to reap the benefits of others. The black python and the huge white tiger should be savage beasts. Their bloodlines were extremely shocking. However, the two seemed to be fighting with real fire. Neither of them wanted to give way. The black python was almost entangled with the huge white tiger, and the huge white tiger was also swallowing the black python's bloodline in large mouthfuls. The aura of these two demonic beasts became incomparably weak. Buzz! A strange light lit up in the valley, and it couldn't help but attract Ling Xiao's attention. It was a purple grass, and its entire body was suffused with purple light. It was like a purple sun, and its emerald green leaves were extremely thin and long, like an orchid. However, there were mysterious dragon scales on its surface, like dancing purple dragons. This is the purple sun dragon tongue orchid? Ling Xiao couldn't help but tremble. His eyes revealed a trace of incomparable surprise. The purple sun dragon tongue orchid was a sacred origin medicine. Unfortunately, it wasn't the sacred origin medicine on Ling Xiao's list. However, it was said that the occipital bone of the purple sun dragon tongue orchid contained a trace of the ancestral dragon's blood essence. It could be used to refine the purple sun sacred pill. A purple sun sacred pill could help a half-saint realm expert pass through a nirvana tribulation. Moreover, it could also enhance the strength of the body. Therefore, Ling Xiao was incomparably surprised. This purple sun dragon tongue orchid was very important to him. Kacha! At this moment, the giant white tiger let out a mournful cry. It was actually the first to be unable to withstand the entanglement of the black python. Its huge body suddenly exploded into a cloud of blood mist. Hiss! The black python's eyes were cold and bloodthirsty. It opened its mouth and hissed. In an instant, it swallowed the white tiger's blood essence. The black python was originally about to be bitten into two by the white tiger. Its injuries were extremely serious. However, after it swallowed the white tiger's blood and flesh, its injuries began to improve. Boom! A sharp light flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes. The blood essence in his body rose, and he threw a punch at the black python. The black python's strength was extremely strong. If he waited until it recovered its strength, it wouldn't be easy to kill it or even snatch the purple sun dragon tongue orchid from its hands. As the saying goes, take the enemy's life when they are weak. Ling Xiao's terrifying physical strength erupted. His fist was vast and unparalleled. It was as if the heavenly emperor wanted to destroy the starry sky. It contained the power to crush everything. The black python also felt the terrifying power contained in this punch. Cold killing intent filled its eyes. In an instant, it opened its bloody mouth. A black vortex erupted from its mouth. It contained an extremely powerful devouring power. It was as if it wanted to devour Ling Xiao's fist and Ling Xiao himself. Chapter 1866. Rumble. This seemed to be the black python's innate ability. It contained an extremely terrifying devouring power. When it sensed a life and death crisis, it erupted with extreme power that could devour the heavens and the earth. Ling Xiao's gaze was incomparably cold. In the face of the black python's innate ability, his expression didn't change at all. The terrifying fist print fell as if 3,000 macro worlds were crushing down at the same time. Puff! Ling Xiao's fist punched into the black python's mouth. The terrifying devouring power exploded with a bang. Ling Xiao's fist print directly penetrated the black python's head and blasted its entire head into a bloody mist. Bang! The black python's huge body directly smashed onto the ground and died. The flesh and blood of these two demonic beasts actually contain such a vast amount of heaven and earth essence. It seems that their bodies are full of treasures. Ling Xiao clicked his tongue in wonder. The black python's snake scales were incomparably tough. If it hadn't opened its mouth to devour Ling Xiao, Ling Xiao probably wouldn't have been able to kill it so easily with one punch. These black python scales could be refined into powerful defensive treasures. The snake meat contained a rich amount of heaven and earth essence that wasn't inferior to an ordinary half-saint pill. After all, the black python and the white tiger had reached the peak of the half-saint realm. If both of them hadn't been injured, it would have been very difficult for Ling Xiao to kill them. Ling Xiao put away the black python and the white tiger's corpses. Then, he walked to the center of the valley and carefully put the purple sun dragon-tongue orchid into a jade box. With the purple sun dragon-tongue orchid, Ling Xiao's cultivation would be able to advance further after refining the purple sun saint pill. Whoosh! Whoosh! At this moment, two figures came across the sky like lightning and swept into the valley in an instant. It was a young man and woman in purple robes. The woman had a pretty face and black hair like a waterfall. Her figure was very tall and her skin was sparkling like jade. She seemed to have an extraordinary temperament. The man looked heroic with sharp eyebrows and sword-like eyes. He was incomparably vigorous. The cultivation of these two people had reached the sixth revolution half-saint realm. They looked somewhat similar, like a pair of brother and sister. The purple-robed woman sized up the situation in the valley. Her gaze landed on Ling Xiao, and she said coldly in a condescending manner, "Earlier, we heard that two demonic beasts were fighting. Their corpses should have been taken away by you, right? Hand over the demonic beast's corpse and the treasures in the spirit spring, and we'll let you go." The place where the purple sun dragon-tongue orchid grew was a spirit spring. Even now, there were still remnants of the saint medicine's aura, so the purple-robed woman could easily sense it. What demonic beast's corpse? I don't know. If there's nothing else, please leave. I don't have time to waste here. Ling Xiao said indifferently. His voice was very calm. He only glanced at the two of them indifferently and planned to leave the valley. Whoosh! Flowing light flashed under the purple-robed man's feet, blocking Ling Xiao's path. Friend, it seems that you really don't put us in your eyes. If you refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit, then don't blame us for being rude. The purple-robed man glared at Ling Xiao and said coldly. You're welcome. How do you want to be rude? What does it have to do with you what I get in the valley? If you want to fight, then think about the consequences. I never leave anyone alive. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he stared at the purple-robed man. Arrogant. Big brother, I'll capture him and search his soul. I'm not afraid that I won't be able to find the treasures in the valley. The purple-robed woman's eyes turned cold and revealed a trace of killing intent. Whoosh! The purple-robed woman exuded a majestic holy path true intent. A purple soft whip appeared in her palm and shook violently in the void. It was like a long purple snake, lashing down at Ling Xiao at lightning speed. The purple whip looked extremely extraordinary. When it was unfurled, the purple scales on it were like the scales of a snake, containing a sharp cold light. If one was hit by this whip, it was likely that one's flesh would be torn apart in an instant. The purple-robed woman saw that Ling Xiao's cultivation was only at the second revolution half-saint realm, so she didn't put him in her eyes at all. Her attack was extremely vicious. Search his soul. You really don't know what's good for you. Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a trace of killing intent. He stood on the spot and didn't dodge at all. Instead, he stretched out his hand to grab the purple soft whip. Idiot! The purple-robed woman couldn't help but sneer when she saw Ling Xiao grab the purple soft whip with his hand. Although this purple soft whip wasn't a perfect holy treasure, it was a top-grade half-saint treasure. It was made from the scales of the purple-scaled snake king that had lived for more than 1,000,000 years. Moreover, it contained the original spirit of the purple-scaled snake king. In the future, it might even be promoted to a holy treasure. Even a 9th revolution half-saint wouldn't dare to use his physical body to resist the purple soft whip. In the eyes of the purple-robed woman, Ling Xiao was simply courting death. However, the next scene caused the purple-robed man and the purple-robed woman's expressions to change involuntarily. Bang! Ling Zhao's seemingly ordinary hand directly grabbed the purple soft whip. Then, a surge of divine power surged over. Not only was the purple-robed woman unable to pull the purple soft whip, but Ling Zhao actually pulled it over abruptly. Slap! Ling Zhao's expression was incomparably calm. He grabbed the purple soft whip and directly swung it out. It was like a purple lightning bolt, directly hitting the purple-robed woman's face. The purple-robed woman couldn't dodge in time. She was even a little stunned by Ling Zhao's attack. In an instant, a bloody mark appeared on her face. Moreover, the unparalleled divine power transmitted to her face, causing half of it to be smashed in an instant. Second sister. The purple-robed man's expression changed. His eyes instantly turned red, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. Ah! Elder brother, kill him for me. Kill him, ah! The purple-robed woman suddenly screamed. Her eyes were filled with incomparable resentment. At this moment, she hated Ling Zhao to the extreme. Her face had been smashed by Ling Zhao, which simply drove her crazy. She even forgot to think about how Ling Zhao, a mere second revolution half-saint, could withstand the purple soft whip head-on. She just wanted Ling Zhao to die. Boom! The purple-robed man swung his sleeve, and his entire body soared into the sky. A purple soft sword emitted a clear sword cry. In an instant, countless sword lights converged in the void and enveloped Ling Zhao. The purple-robed man's sword essence was very extraordinary. Although his cultivation was only at the 6th revolution half-saint realm, this sword technique gave him the power to fight against a 7th revolution half-saint. Get lost. Chapter 1867. It was a simple punch, but it contained invincible fist intent. It was as if all the stars in the sky would be annihilated by this punch. Previously, when Ling Zhao took the purple scale soft whip, the purple-robed man did not feel how strong Ling Zhao was. However, this punch made his expression change instantly. His eyes were filled with disbelief and horror. It was as if he was an ant facing a divine dragon. How is this possible? You are only a 2nd revolution half-saint. How can you be so strong? Who are you? The purple-robed man roared, and his face was extremely ferocious. Bang! Ling Zhao did not answer him at all. The invincible fist print swept across the void, like a bright sun blooming. The sword light that filled the sky was directly reduced to dust under this punch. Ling Zhao's punch did not lose its momentum and directly collided with the purple scale soft sword. The terrifying fist print broke the sword light, and the bright runes exploded. In the end, the purple scale soft sword could not withstand the power of Ling Zhao's punch and directly exploded into pieces. Puff! The purple-robed man looked as if he was struck by lightning. His chest suddenly collapsed, and countless ribs were broken. He spat out blood and was directly sent flying. If it were not for the purple scale soft sword, Ling Zhao's punch would have blown him up. You are Zhao Ritian. The purple-robed woman seemed to have thought of something and could not help but scream. Her eyes were filled with disbelief. Zhao Ritian. When the purple-robed man heard this name, he could not help but tremble. Zhao Ritian was considered famous in the entire Taishan city. It was not only because he was a 9-star alchemy grandmaster, but more importantly, because of his combat strength. It was rumored that his combat strength was extraordinary. Although he was only a 2nd revolution half-saint, he had the strength to fight with a mid-level half-saint or even a high-level half-saint. Thinking of the domineering punch just now, the purple-robed man suddenly had no intention to fight in his heart. Seeing Ling Zhao walking toward them calmly, the purple-robed man and the purple-robed woman could not help but tremble. Second sister, let's go. The purple-robed man spat out blood as he rushed to the purple-robed woman and grabbed her. Buzz! A dazzling rune blossomed from his palm, instantly wrapping around the two of them and disappearing from Ling Zhao's sight. Teleportation Saint Rune? Ling Zhao was slightly taken aback. He had originally wanted to make these two stay here forever, but he had not expected them to be so decisive, directly taking out a saint talisman. The Saint Talisman was incomparably powerful. It could shift the void and contained the power of the origin of space. This meant that there was a powerful talisman master behind these two. He was at least a 9-star talisman grandmaster or even a talisman saint. Ling Xiao did not take them to heart. He turned around and left the valley. Tens of thousands of kilometers away, light flashed on the bank of a clear small lake, and two figures appeared. They were none other than the purple-robed man and the purple-robed woman. Big brother, I can sense that there's definitely an origin source sacred medicine in that valley. Are we just going to hand it over to that Zhao Ritian? The purple-robed woman's eyes were filled with unwillingness. What else can we do? Zhao Ritian's combat power is extraordinary. We are no match for him. If I didn't use the life-saving talisman that my master gave us, we might have died in his hands. However, since he dared to offend our house of Ziyang, we are no match for him. Master will definitely be able to kill him. The purple-robed man said coldly. That's right. Let's go find my master. That bastard Zhao Ritian, I will definitely ask my master to kill him. The purple-robed woman hated Ling Xiao to the core. Her face became even more twisted and ferocious. Alright, let's go. The purple-robed man and the purple-robed woman leaped up and flew into the distance. Ling Xiao was still searching for various spiritual herbs in the mountain range. The small pill talisman realm was an ancient secret realm. It contained all kinds of precious treasures. The list given to everyone by the Pill Talisman Mountain contained more than 100 kinds of treasures. It was very difficult to collect all of these treasures in a day. Many of the treasures on the lists overlapped. Therefore, there were constant conflicts between them. Ling Xiao saw a few rounds of fighting in the mountain range. However, Ling Xiao did not participate in those fights. He chose to avoid them whenever he encountered them. It was not that Ling Xiao was afraid of them. Instead, Ling Xiao felt that meaningless fighting would only waste time. He needed time to find the hundreds of medicinal herbs that he needed. Ling Xiao's primordial spirit was very powerful. In addition, he had obtained the inheritance of the Hunyuan Pill Saint. It could be said that he knew all kinds of ancient spiritual herbs like the back of his hand. In half a day, Ling Xiao had collected more than 90% of the various spiritual herbs that he needed. These semi-sage herbs all contain rich fire attribute energy. They usually grow in the depths of deserts or volcanoes. It seems that I need to go to that desert to take a look. Ling Xiao stood on top of a mountain. The mountain wind was blowing and the clouds were drifting around him. He stared at the vast desert in the distance and muttered to himself. Ling Xiao had already collected more than 90 of the hundreds of spiritual herbs. There were only 3 semi-sage herbs left and 1 origin sacred herb left. The 3 semi-sage herbs were the red flame jade ginseng, the heavenly fire divine wood, and the red scorpion root. They were all semi-sage herbs of the fire attribute. Ling Xiao had already searched the entire mountain range but did not find these 3 herbs. Therefore, Ling Xiao planned to go to the desert in the distance to take a look. There was a majestic flame aura there. These 3 semi-sage herbs should be there. As for Ling Xiao's origin sacred herb, it was too strange. Ling Xiao had not discovered anything about it until now. Whoosh! Ling Xiao leaped up and passed through the mountain peaks, flying towards the desert. However, when Ling Xiao flew past the outermost mountain, his eyes flashed and he stopped in his tracks. What a familiar aura! Ling Xiao's eyes flashed and landed on the mountain peak. This mountain peak was tens of thousands of feet high. It looked very ordinary and did not seem to have any spiritual herbs aura. It was the boundary between this mountain range and the desert in the distance. However, Ling Xiao felt that there was a powerful demonic beast in the mountain. He even detected a trace of a strange fragrance from the demonic beast's body. Why is the aura of the stalagmite Holy Spirit flower on a demonic beast? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed and he instantly flew towards the mountain peak. The stalagmite Holy Spirit flower was the most precious origin sacred herb on Ling Xiao's list. It was a stalagmite that had been growing for hundreds of millions of years. It had absorbed the essence of heaven and earth and nurtured spirituality. It was incomparably precious. Chapter 1868. On the mountainside, there was a towering ancient tree rooted on a huge rock. The branches and leaves of the ancient tree were sparse, and its bark was mottled like an old dragon. As the mountain wind blew, it made a rustling sound. A huge black bear was lying on top of the rock. The sun shone on its body, making it feel warm and comfortable. Its simple and honest face was full of enjoyment. Boom! However, its breathing was like thunder. Every time it breathed, it would make a loud rumbling sound. The ancient tree trembled slightly as if it had felt the terrifying blood and chi of the black bear. There were no demon beasts or even insects in the area around it. The aura of the stalagmite Holy Spirit flower was coming from the black bear. That aura was very faint and ordinary people wouldn't be able to detect it. However, Ling Xiao's perception was very sharp. He sensed it. The black bear must have come into contact with the stalagmite Holy Spirit flower. Bang! When Ling Xiao descended from the sky and landed directly in front of Black Bear, there was a loud bang, which gave Black Bear a huge fright. Black Bear immediately scrambled to his feet with a blank expression on his face, which made him seem charmingly naive. Human! You dare to disturb my rest? You're really hateful. Do you believe that I won't kill you with one slap? The Black Bear looked at Ling Xiao with an unfriendly expression. It spoke human language and raised its fat paw to show off its power. The black bear's aura was very powerful. It had also reached the peak of the semi-sage realm. Its blood and chi were rising. Its breathing was like thunder. Even the other demon beasts at the peak of the semi-sage realm didn't dare to provoke it. The black bear's explosive power was too strong. Even a lion or tiger of the same level would be killed by a slap of the black bear's paw. Black Bear, have you seen the stalagmite Holy Spirit flower? Ling Xiao asked indifferently. However, his eyes were fixed on the black bear. Sure enough, the black bear's face changed. Its eyes became scarlet. Its body emitted a murderous aura. It stared at Ling Xiao and said, "How do you know about the stalagmite Holy Spirit flower? Human, you dare to covet my treasure. It seems that I'll have to teach you a good lesson today." When the black bear stood up, although it was only about 10 feet tall, Ling Xiao could clearly feel that the aura of this black bear was extremely terrifying. Its blood and chi were incomparably powerful. It was even more terrifying than the black python and white tiger that Ling Xiao had encountered before. The black bear's face was full of hostility. It was full of hostility towards Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao was speechless. He had wanted to test the black bear monster to see if it knew the whereabouts of the stalagmite Holy Spirit flower. However, it seemed that the black bear monster had a one-track mind. Not only had it seen the stalagmite Holy Spirit flower before, it had even treated it as its own treasure. Black Bear, if you obediently bring me to the stalagmite Holy Spirit flower, I will not kill you in exchange. How about it? Ling Xiao. Human, you have successfully angered Lord Bear. Lord Bear will let you know the consequences of offending Lord Bear. The black bear stared at Ling Xiao and said coldly. The black bear exuded an extremely terrifying blood and chi. In an instant, the void trembled violently. It raised its huge bear paw and slammed it down towards Ling Xiao. The black bear was like a black whirlwind. Its speed was extremely fast. When the bear paw fell, it was like a black curtain that covered the sky. It was as if there was no way to dodge. Although the black bear looked very clumsy, it was as fast as lightning when it attacked. If one underestimated the black bear, they would suffer a great loss. Ling Xiao was also surprised by the black bear's speed. However, he did not dodge. Instead, he chose to punch out. Roar! Ling Xiao's blood and chi surged. A faint dragon's roar filled the air. At the same time, a purple light bloomed. It was as if there was a bright purple divine sun above his chest. Ling Xiao did not dare to be careless. He activated the terrifying divine power around him and exploded with a terrifying punch. The fist and palm collided. Instantly, the void trembled violently. A violent explosion sounded. Ling Xiao and the black bear trembled violently. They could not help but retreat. Oh. Human, you're not bad. You can actually block this bear chi. Come, come, come. Fight with me for 300 rounds. There was a hint of surprise in the black bear's eyes. His face was full of eagerness, and his battle intent rose. He roared and charged towards Ling Xiao again. The bear paw was very large. It contained an extremely terrifying power. It was like a metal rock. Even a half-step Saint treasure would be smashed into scrap metal by the black bear. Ling Xiao activated the terrifying physical strength around him to fight the black bear. The black bear's physical strength was simply the strongest Ling Xiao had ever seen in his life. Bang! 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 Ling Xiao and the black bear fought fiercely. The man and the bear seemed to be in a real fight. Their blood and chi surged. Every time they collided, an extremely terrifying fluctuation would erupt. The surrounding mountain rocks flew everywhere. The earth trembled violently. Several towering ancient trees in the surroundings were blasted into powder. The dragon's roar around Ling Xiao's body was endless. His eyes also became more and more dazzling. Every time he collided with the black bear, Ling Xiao's blood and chi surged. Each punch was stronger than the previous one. Ling Xiao's physical body was extremely terrifying due to his complete divine dragon body and the over 1,000 tribulations indestructible saint technique. So far, he had never met an expert who could compete with him in terms of physical strength. This black bear was indeed very strong. However, after hundreds of rounds of fighting, the black bear could not hold on any longer. Although the black bear's explosive power was very strong, it lacked patience. After all, with such a terrifying physical body, every attack would explode with all its strength. After a long time, the black bear felt a little tired. Ling Xiao's fist landed on the black bear's nose. Immediately, the black bear was in so much pain that it was about to cry. It grimaced and even gave up resisting Ling Xiao's fist. It began to cover its head and scurry away. Stop fighting. Stop fighting. Human, I admit that you're stronger than me. Stop. The black bear cried as it begged for mercy. Bring me to the stalagmite Holy Spirit flower, and I'll let you go. How about it? Ling Xiao said with a smile. However, he did not relax his attacks at all. His fists were unparalleled and landed on the black bear's body. Although the black bear had thick skin and thick flesh, it was still beaten by Ling Xiao until it trembled all over and blood flowed out. Good, good, good. As long as you let me go, I'll bring you to the stalagmite Holy Spirit flower. The black bear did not have a shred of integrity. It did not even hesitate and nodded its head like it was pounding garlic. It immediately agreed. Ling Xiao's final punch sent the black bear flying. After that, it also stopped. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He saw that the huge rock that the black bear monster had been leaning on had been blown to smithereens by the shockwaves of the battle. However, that rock was not damaged at all. It was very strange. Chapter 1869. Boom! Ling Xiao's fist landed on the huge rock, producing a metallic sound. The rock was extremely hard, and Ling Xiao's fist did not even leave a mark on it. This is the stalagmite Holy Spirit flower. The black bear monster said hurriedly, his eyes filled with nervousness. He was afraid that Ling Xiao would shatter the rock. What did you say? Ling Xiao could not believe that this extremely hard rock was the stalagmite Holy Spirit flower. The black bear monster said helplessly, this is indeed the stalagmite Holy Spirit flower. However, this guy is too cunning and has a very hard shell. I can't do anything to it. A few years ago, I found this stalagmite Holy Spirit flower when it was about to open the stone layer. However, it was very sensitive and I couldn't open the stone layer, so I couldn't get the stalagmite Holy Spirit flower. Ling Xiao was slightly stunned. He had not expected that the stalagmite Holy Spirit flower he had been looking for would be hidden in such a hard rock. Let me try. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. The sky-swallowing sword hummed and appeared in his palm. In an instant, it turned into hundreds of millions of sword lights and slashed at the rock. Clang! Sparks flew and the void shook violently. The sky-swallowing sword was extremely sharp and had merged with Ling Xiao's divine soul. The power of this sword was not weaker than a flawless holy treasure. However, although sparks flew, only a few white marks were left on the rock. There was no sign of it shattering. It's useless. The stalagmite Holy Spirit flower is too cunning. I can't do anything to it. The black bear monster said helplessly. Can't you do anything? I don't think so. Ling Xiao smiled faintly as a sharp glint appeared in his eyes. Ling Xiao believed that as long as he used the flipping sky seal, with its supreme divine power, he would be able to pulverize the rock. However, if he did that, the stalagmite and the Holy Spirit flower would be completely destroyed. However, Ling Xiao had the powerful inheritance and memory of the Hunyuan elixir saint, so he knew the weakness of the stalagmite Holy Spirit flower. The stalagmite Holy Spirit flower was afraid of fire. Of course, ordinary flames had no effect on the stalagmite Holy Spirit flower. At least the Holy Spirit flower was afraid of the stalagmite Holy Spirit flower. Ling Xiao planned to use flames to force the stalagmite Holy Spirit flower out. Wang! A golden light flashed in Ling Xiao's palm, and a golden flame appeared instantly. It looked very bright, and there were many halos on it. It contained a power that could devour everything, as if it was hiding a mysterious world. This was the heaven-devouring fire. Ling Xiao's sky-devouring secret technique had reached the sky-devouring divine sea realm. His sky-devouring fire had also become extremely terrifying, far surpassing the ordinary divine fire. It was even comparable to those powerful saint fires. Rumble. The heaven-engulfing fire shone brightly as it burned fiercely in Ling Xiao's palm. Then, it swirled in the air and wrapped around the rock in front of him. Under the roasting of the heaven-devouring fire, the rock did not change at all. However, Ling Xiao could feel that the void was slightly distorted. Golden flames rose, and strange rays of light began to appear on the rocks. It was like a mysterious fog. Roast with flames? I've tried it too, but it's useless. The black bear saw Ling Xiao using flames to roast the rock and hurriedly said. However, his body suddenly trembled as he saw that under the roasting of the heaven-devouring fire, the rock actually began to undergo a mysterious change. Wang! White spirit mist slowly dissipated from the rock, and the rock actually started to tremble slightly. You're a bad person. Woo-woo. Don't burn me to death. A voice that sounded like a 7 or 8-year-old child came from the rock, and there was a hint of fear in it. Ling Xiao's expression was very calm. He ignored the voice and continued to roast the rock in front of him with the heaven-devouring fire. Fuck. It actually works. The black bear monster widened its eyes, its face full of disbelief. Woo-woo-woo. Don't burn me. Don't burn me, the voice from the rock sounded again, and this time, the rock also began to tremble slightly. Traces of cracks appeared as if it was going to split open at any time. Come with me. Otherwise, I'll burn you to death. Ling Xiao said calmly. The heaven-devouring fire in his palm trembled slightly and temporarily stopped. Woo-woo-woo. I'll go with you. Don't burn me to death. Although the voice was somewhat unwilling, in the face of the threat of death, it finally chose to compromise. Kacha! The rock cracked, and a bright light bloomed from it. Clouds and mist drifted, and the void trembled. Faintly, the chi of wind and thunder flashed, and a milky white Tao immortal flower appeared in front of Ling Xiao. It was as if words could not describe the mystery and brilliance of this Tao immortal flower. The dreamlike scene made Ling Xiao incomparably amazed. A rich fragrance filled the air, and the surrounding flowers and plants began to grow at a speed visible to the naked eye. Ling Xiao could not help but feel energized, and the Taoist rhyme in his body began to strengthen. This was the stalagmite Holy Spirit flower. Wang! The stalagmite Holy Spirit flower trembled slightly, as if it was very afraid of the heaven-devouring fire. At this moment, it had no way to escape. The heaven-devouring fire formed a huge net of flames around it, binding it within. "Come here," Ling Xiao said indifferently. Then, he reached out and grabbed the stalagmite Holy Spirit flower in the palm of his hand. Although the stalagmite Holy Spirit flower was not inferior to a human's intelligence, it could only obediently fall into Ling Xiao's hand. However, it still said in a childish voice, "I can go with you, and I can also give you my flower. I only ask that you leave my roots intact, and I will be able to recover in the future. Don't worry, I won't kill you. At most, I'll borrow a part of your body to refine pills." Ling Xiao smiled indifferently, and then directly put away the stalagmite Holy Spirit flower. The black bear's eyes turned red. It had spent so much time and effort, but it could not do anything to the stalagmite Holy Spirit flower. However, the moment Ling Xiao made a move, the stalagmite Holy Spirit flower obediently surrendered. However, the black bear also knew how strong Ling Xiao was. Although it coveted the stalagmite Holy Spirit flower, it did not dare to snatch it. "Since you told me the whereabouts of the stalagmite Holy Spirit flower, I'll spare your life. Goodbye." Ling Xiao glanced at the black bear, turned around, and was about to leave the mountain and fly towards the vast desert in the distance. Wait! Chapter 1870. "Oh, is there anything else you need?" Ling Xiao looked at the black bear monster strangely. "Human, you're really strong. You're here to look for elixirs, right? I know a place that contains many elixirs. There are even many origin sacred herbs like stalagmites and Holy Spirit flowers. I can take you there, but please do me a favor." The black bear monster said hesitantly. "Oh. There's such a place in the small pill talisman realm?" Ling Xiao's eyes lit up as well. If there was such a place, it would be comparable to an elixir garden. Its value was immeasurable. Ling Xiao might be able to collect all the elixirs he needed in one fell swoop. That's right. That place is called the Sacred Medicine Valley. However, it's covered by a natural formation space. Ordinary people don't know its exact location. I only found it when I accidentally broke into it. The black bear monster said. "The Sacred Medicine Valley? Sure, if it's within my ability, I can help you. What's the matter? Tell me." Ling Xiao nodded and said. The black bear monster said happily, "Although there are endless elixirs in the Sacred Medicine Valley, there's a group of poisonous bee king guarding it. If you want to enter the Sacred Medicine Valley to pick elixirs, you must first kill the poisonous bee king. I hope you can kill the poisonous bee king and give me a pound of honey. How about it?" When it mentioned the poisonous bee king, the black bear monster's face was full of fear. However, when it came to honey, its eyes lit up and its saliva almost flowed out. Poisonous bee king. Ling Xiao was slightly taken aback. His gaze became somewhat dignified. The poisonous bee king was an ancient species. Although it was only the size of a fist, it had extreme speed like lightning. Moreover, its body contained extremely strong poison. Even if a sage-to-be expert was bitten by the poisonous bee king, his entire body would be paralyzed and he could only wait to be captured. In the end, he would die in the hands of the poisonous bee king. The key point was that the black bear monster mentioned a group of poisonous bee king. There must be a bee king among them. The bee king's strength was even more terrifying. Some had even reached the level of a sage. It was not something ordinary people could contend with. If a group of venomous wasp king were to attack at the same time, even a sage would have to flee pathetically. However, the honey of the venomous monarch bee was also a top-notch heavenly treasure. Not only could it allow a person to be reborn, but it could also increase the strength of the physical body. For demonic beasts, it was even more important as it could improve the bloodline of the demonic beast. No wonder the black bear monster was so excited that it was almost drooling. If it could get the honey of the poisonous bee king, maybe the black bear monster could go one step further and break through to the monster saint realm. How many poisonous bee kings are there in the sacred medicine valley? Ling Xiao looked at the black bear and asked seriously. Although the poisonous bee king was very strong, the most terrifying thing was still a group of poisonous bee kings. Only when they formed a large group would they be able to unleash an incomparably terrifying battle prowess. A single poisonous bee king could probably kill a black bear with a single slap, let alone soaring cloud. I went in by accident once and was chased out by a group of poisonous bee kings. I met about 100 poisonous bee kings at that time, but I'm not sure how many poisonous bee kings there are in the sacred medicine valley. The black bear monster said honestly. Is there a wasp king among the 100 poisonous wasp kings you encountered? Ling Xiao asked seriously. I don't think so. The black bear thought for a while and said. It seems like there should be more than 1,000 poisonous bee kings in the sacred medicine valley. Ling Xiao said slowly. How did you know? The black bear asked curiously. Ling Xiao smiled indifferently and did not answer the black bear. This was the experience he had obtained from the Hunyuan Elixir Saint's inheritance. He changed the topic and said, Now, bring me to the sacred medicine valley. All right. Hearing Ling Xiao's agreement, the black bear was instantly excited. When he thought of the poisonous bee king's honey, he could not help but drool. That was a temptation that he could not resist at all. Whoosh! Ling Xiao leaped up and the black bear's body was surrounded by a black light. He set off a gust of demonic wind and brought Ling Xiao to the desert in the distance. Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a hint of surprise. He originally thought that the sacred medicine valley was in this mountain range. He did not expect the black bear to bring him to the desert in the distance. Although he was curious, he did not show it on his face. Rumble. The desert was vast and boundless. The scorching sun shone on the desert, causing a gust of hot air to rise above the desert as if it could roast all living things. This desert was very vast. At least within the range of Ling Xiao's primordial spirit, he could not find the end of the desert. The black bear brought Ling Xiao tens of thousands of miles into the desert before landing from the sky. Is the sacred medicine valley here? Ling Xiao asked doubtfully. Speaking of which, Ling Xiao, who had extremely sharp senses, did not detect any fluctuations of a formation. He was surrounded by rolling yellow sand that stretched as far as the eye could see. When the wind blew on his body, it exuded an oppressive feeling that made him breathless. Ling Xiao did not expect the sacred medicine valley that the black bear mentioned to be here. Hee, you'll see it soon. The black bear laughed good-naturedly. Then, he stuck his butt out and began to dig the sand in the desert. The black bear had divine strength, and his strength was also very terrifying. Therefore, the speed at which he dug the sand was very fast. Before long, the black bear had dug a huge sand pit with a radius of hundreds of feet. Ling Xiao looked at the black bear's actions with some curiosity. He did not know what he was trying to do by digging such a huge sand pit. The sand pit that the black bear dug became deeper and deeper. In the end, it was hundreds of feet deep. Roar! In the end, the black bear let out an extremely terrifying roar. Then, he suddenly spat out a mouthful of pale golden essence blood. It turned into a mysterious rune in the void. Like a millstone, it suddenly imprinted itself at the bottom of the sand pit. Rumble. The sand pit trembled violently, and then suddenly shattered with a loud bang. A mysterious black vortex appeared, leading to an unknown place. Follow me. This is the sacred medicine valley. The black bear monster glanced at Ling Xiao. Its eyes were filled with excitement. Ling Xiao looked at the black bear deeply. The way the black bear entered the sacred medicine valley was a little strange. Moreover, he did not expect the sacred medicine valley to be hidden deep underground in the desert. However, when he saw the black bear enter the black vortex, Ling Xiao's figure flashed and followed the black bear in. Rumble. The light in front of him blazed and the void trembled. When Ling Xiao opened his eyes, an ancient and mysterious valley appeared in front of him. It contained an extremely mysterious aura. He had arrived at the Sacred Medicine Valley. Chapter 1871. The Sacred Medicine Valley seemed to be another world. Ancient trees towered into the sky, and hundreds of flowers bloomed. There was a majestic aura of life everywhere. It was completely different from the rolling yellow sand outside. Ling Xiao did not expect the Sacred Medicine Valley to be hidden here. It's really a powerful natural formation. Ling Xiao exclaimed in his heart. The natural formation was very powerful. Even with Ling Xiao's incomparably sharp perception, he could not detect the fluctuations of the formation. In front of him was a huge valley. In the depths of the valley was an extremely spectacular waterfall. It flowed down 3,000 feet and finally smashed into the talisman pond below, stirring up waves. The valley was very quiet. There were all kinds of exotic flowers and herbs. At this moment, they were all in full bloom, exuding a rich fragrance. Looking around, Ling Xiao immediately discovered many precious divine herbs that he recognized. However, Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He saw a few fist-sized bees among the flowers in the distance. They were completely black, flapping their wings, and were collecting nectar. Poisonous bee king. Ling Xiao immediately recognized that those bees were the poisonous bee king. However, Ling Xiao and the black bear monster were now at the entrance of the valley. They were hidden by a few towering ancient trees and were not discovered by the poisonous bee king. However, as long as Ling Xiao and the black bear monster dared to step into the valley, they would probably be discovered by the poisonous bee king immediately. The black bear monster's eyes revealed a trace of fear. He whispered to Ling Xiao, "That's right. That's the poisonous bee king. Although the strength of a single poisonous bee king is not too strong, and I can kill it with a slap, these little things are very vengeful. Moreover, their reinforcement speed is very fast. If they discover us, I'm afraid a group of poisonous bee king will appear in an instant to kill us." The poisonous bee king's perception is indeed very sharp. However, if we want to collect the spiritual herbs in the Sacred Medicine Valley, we have to find a way to deal with these poisonous bee king. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he spoke slowly. The Sacred Medicine Valley in front of him was incomparably huge. It seemed to be dozens of miles in radius. Ling Xiao could feel that there were precious divine herbs everywhere in the Sacred Medicine Valley. The aura of semi-divine herbs was also faintly discernible. Ling Xiao could even feel that in the depths of the Sacred Medicine Valley, there were several extremely obscure fluctuations that contained mysterious Taoist rhymes. Those were the origin divine herbs. The black bear monster did not deceive him, the Sacred Medicine Valley was indeed a land of treasure. That's right. That's why I can't enter the Sacred Medicine Valley. The black bear monster said helplessly. It was powerful and had boundless vitality. If it were to enter the Sacred Medicine Valley, it would be like a small sun. It would be harder than ascending to the heavens for the poisonous bee king to not notice it. Stay outside the Sacred Medicine Valley. I'll go in and take a look. Ling Xiao said slowly to the black bear. Then, a very mysterious aura emanated from his body, enveloping him. Ling Xiao carefully made his way into the Sacred Medicine Valley. "Don't, the poisonous wasp king will find you," the black bear subconsciously wanted to stop Ling Xiao, but its eyes suddenly changed, revealing a look of disbelief. Ling Xiao had disappeared from its perception. It could clearly see Ling Xiao's figure, but in its perception, Ling Xiao had disappeared. This feeling was very strange. This was because Ling Xiao had used the heaven-shrouding secret technique. Wang! Ling Xiao turned into a faintly discernible shadow and slowly headed towards the Sacred Medicine Valley. The heaven-shrouding secret technique was extremely mysterious. With Ling Xiao's recent enlightenment, the heaven-shrouding secret technique was about to reach the great completion realm. Although it might not be able to hide from powerful sages, a mere poisonous wasp king would definitely not be able to detect Ling Xiao. If Ling Xiao wanted to harvest the spiritual herbs in the sacred medicine valley, the poisonous wasp king would naturally be the biggest obstacle. Ling Xiao wanted to find out more about the poisonous wasp king and see if there were any other dangers in the sacred medicine valley. Ling Xiao did not believe that the sacred medicine valley was only guarded by a group of poisonous wasp king. There must be some dangers that even the black bear monster did not know about. The sacred medicine valley was shrouded in a thin layer of spiritual mist. Within the mist, there was a vast amount of heaven and earth energy. That layer of spiritual mist was the best camouflage for Ling Xiao. Even if Ling Xiao was standing in front of the poisonous wasp king, the poisonous wasp king would not be able to detect him. Hiss! When Ling Xiao arrived at the sacred medicine valley, he could not help but gasp. Looking around, the entire sacred medicine valley was filled with all sorts of divine herbs and half-saint herbs. Exotic flowers and herbs competed with each other in terms of beauty. Every single one of them was an extremely precious spiritual herb. However, the more precious a spiritual herb was, the stricter the requirements for its growth. Therefore, it was destined that spiritual herbs could not grow in large patches like grains. However, everything in front of Ling Xiao's eyes subverted his understanding. Could it be that there's something special about the sacred medicine valley? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He could not help but squat down and grab a handful of soil beside him. The soil contains the essence of heaven and earth. The spiritual energy is very abundant, but other than that, there's also an extremely high-grade energy. This is the Xianhuang Mother energy. Ling Xiao's body trembled. His eyes were filled with disbelief. The Xianhuang Mother energy was known as the origin of the earth. It contained an extremely mysterious energy. It was the origin of all living things. It was also known as the origin of all living things. Only the ancestral vein of the earth could give birth to the Xianhuang Mother energy. Could it be that there was the legendary ancestral vein of the earth beneath the sacred medicine valley? The ancestral vein of the earth was a place of feng shui that was even more powerful than the dragon vein of the earth. Legend had it that it contained the illusory power of fate and destiny. Obtaining the ancestral vein of the earth would give one the opportunity to create an immortal holy land. Ling Xiao did not know whether Mount Danfu had not discovered the sacred medicine valley at all, or if the sacred medicine valley was also a part of Mount Danfu's heritage. If it was the latter, then Mount Danfu's heritage was too terrifying. They could casually take out the ancestral vein of the earth. Only the Xianhuang Mother energy could support the growth of so many divine herbs and semi-divine herbs at the same time. What a cunning poisonous wasp king! It turns out that they were hiding here. Ling Xiao carefully examined the sacred medicine valley. It was only then that he realized that the poisonous wasp king he had seen previously were only on the surface. There were hundreds of poisonous wasp king hidden among the various spiritual herbs. Most importantly, Ling Xiao saw a huge beehive on a stone wall next to the waterfall. It was at least a few feet wide and emitted a bright golden light. However, it was not obvious because it was surrounded by the water vapor of the waterfall. Ling Xiao could feel that there were hundreds and thousands of poisonous wasp king densely packed in the beehive. Among them, there was an extremely terrifying but obscure aura that made Ling Xiao's heart palpitate. Chapter 1872. For some reason, although Ling Xiao felt threatened by the huge beehive, what made him more alert was that there seemed to be an extremely strange aura in the sacred medicine valley that made him feel cold all over. There are indeed other existences other than the poisonous bee king. Ling Xiao thought to himself. However, Ling Xiao was unwilling to leave just like that. Not to mention the huge amount of spiritual herbs in the sacred medicine valley, the poisonous bee king's honey was also good stuff. Ling Xiao did not want to let it go so easily. The sacred medicine valley was not big and was only a few dozen miles in radius. Ling Xiao quickly explored the sacred medicine valley carefully. There are actually 5 origin sacred herbs. No wonder it is the sacred medicine valley. However, the poisonous bee king is also very cautious. Each origin sacred herb is guarded by 10 poisonous bees. Ling Xiao frowned slightly. He saw a total of 5 origin sacred herbs in the depths of the sacred medicine valley. Among the 5 origin sacred herbs, some were as red as fire, some were as sharp as swords, and some were as heavy as mountains. They looked very mysterious and contained boundless power. Ling Xiao was also drooling over the 5 origin saint herbs. However, each origin saint herb was guarded by 10 poisonous bee kings, never leaving its side. If Ling Xiao wanted to obtain the origin sacred herb, he would definitely alarm the poisonous bee king. 10 poisonous bee king. This is indeed difficult. Ling Xiao laughed bitterly. The poisonous bee king was not weak and had extreme speed. Although Ling Xiao could kill 1 poisonous bee king in an instant, he could not kill 10 poisonous bee kings in an instant. Furthermore, there was a spiritual connection between the poisonous wasp king and the wasp king. If he couldn't kill it instantly, the wasp king would definitely know what happened. At that time, Ling Xiao, who was exposed, would have no choice but to run away pathetically, let alone obtain the origin source holy herb. There are red flame jade ginseng and heavenly fire divine wood here. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed with a hint of joy. Of the hundreds of spirit medicines on his list, only the red flame jade ginseng, the heavenly fire divine wood, and the red scorpion root were left uncollected. Ling Xiao originally thought that he would have to enter the desert to collect them. He didn't expect to see the red flame jade ginseng and the heavenly fire divine wood here. In the distance, under a towering ancient tree, there was a small grass that was as red as fire. It was emitting a red glow and looked very mysterious. It was the red flame jade ginseng. On top of a rock to the side, there was a small tree that was about 3 feet tall. It looked bare and twisted like an old dragon. It was also covered in a layer of flames. It was the heavenly fire divine wood. It was a pleasant surprise for Ling Xiao that these 2 semi-sage herbs grew in the sacred medicinal valley. However, Ling Xiao did not discover the whereabouts of the scarlet scorpion root. It seemed that if he wanted to find the scarlet scorpion root, he could only go to the desert outside to look for it. Whoosh! Ling Xiao silently flew over and carefully put away the red flame jade ginseng and the heaven flame divine wood. Only then did he heave a sigh of relief. How can I obtain the 5 origin sacred herbs? Maybe I can do it this way. Ling Xiao's heart skipped a beat, and the corner of his mouth revealed a sinister smile. Ling Xiao thought of the black bear monster that was still outside the sacred medicinal valley. Perhaps he could let the black bear monster attract the firepower and lure the poisonous bee king and bee king away. Then, Ling Xiao would take the opportunity to harvest the 5 origin sacred herbs. Perhaps he could even wipe out the huge beehive. Ling Xiao was thinking about the feasibility of this plan. The most important thing was how much firepower could the black bear monster attract. If he couldn't lure most of the poisonous bee king and bee king away, this plan would be useless. At this moment, the black bear monster was anxiously waiting for Ling Xiao outside the valley. It didn't know that Ling Xiao was plotting against it. Outside the sacred medicinal valley, the black bear monster was lying on a huge rock with its butt sticking out. It was looking into the depths of the sacred medicinal valley, anxiously waiting for Ling Xiao's news. Although it was very surprised by Ling Xiao's method of hiding his aura, it knew how powerful the bee king was. If Ling Xiao was discovered by the bee king, they could only escape pathetically. Buzz! But at this moment, a bright light flashed, and a few figures appeared outside the sacred medicinal valley. They were a few young men and women with powerful auras. Each of them was arrogant and extraordinary. Their arrogance soared to the sky. Their eyes were filled with incomparable surprise. The 2 young men in the lead had incomparably terrifying auras. They were Xiao Rui and Huang Xuanzong. Mysterious Sect's Holy Son, this is the sacred medicinal valley hidden in the small Dan talisman world. I'm afraid most people don't know about this place. We'll definitely be able to find all the spirit herbs we need here. Xiao Rui said to Huang Xuanzong with a smile. Sacred medicinal valley. It actually contains such boundless worldly essence. It's really extraordinary. Huang Xuanzong nodded and said. His expression was incomparably indifferent. Huh? Why is there a black bear here? Suddenly, someone exclaimed. His gaze fell on the black bear monster that was sticking out its butt. Isn't this the demonic beast of the sacred medicinal valley? It doesn't look very strong. Young Master Xiao, mysterious sect's holy son, watch me kill this demonic beast. A fourth revolution half-saint black-robed young man's eyes flashed as he said with a smile. The black bear monster's body wasn't big. It was only 3 meters tall. Because it was afraid of being detected by the poisonous queen bee, it had restrained its aura. Therefore, it looked very deceptive. It wasn't strong. It seemed as if it only had the strength of a half-saint. Demonic beast? Huh? There should only be poisonous queen bee in the sacred medicinal valley. There shouldn't be any other demonic beasts. Xiao Rui's eyes revealed a trace of doubt. However, at this moment, the black-robed young man had already walked toward the black bear monster with a face full of confidence. Big black bear, if you know what's good for you, then obediently surrender. Perhaps I'll be soft-hearted and accept you as my pet. If you dare to resist, then I'll let your blood splatter on the spot. The black-robed young man stared at the black bear monster and said arrogantly. The black bear monster was a little depressed. It didn't expect that there would be other people who would break into the sacred medicinal valley while it was waiting for Ling Xiao here. However, it seemed that the passage was different from the one the black bear monster took. The strength of this group of young men and women was extraordinary. However, the most powerful ones were Xiao Rui and Huang Xuanzong. Especially Huang Xuanzong. The aura on his body made the black bear monster feel incomparable fear. However, the black-robed young man in front of it was merely a fourth revolution half-saint. How dare he clamor about accepting the black bear monster as his pet? The black bear monster couldn't tolerate this. This guy was simply going too far. You want to accept me as your pet? The black bear monster slowly turned its head. A trace of bloody light appeared in its eyes. The terrifying aura around its body slowly erupted. What? The black-robed young man's body trembled. Suddenly, a trace of disbelief appeared in his eyes. Cold sweat immediately dripped down from his body. This aura was comparable to a 9th revolution half-saint. The black bear monster in front of him had the cultivation of a half-saint. He actually wanted to accept it as his pet. Chapter 1873. Are you the guardian beast of the sacred medicine valley? You're so mighty and majestic. I admire you so much, so much. The black-robed young man licked his dry lips and said with a sad face. He had no integrity at all. It was because he was too close to the black bear monster. There was only a distance of 10 feet between them. He was also too careless previously. He wanted to subdue the black bear monster, but the result was a tragedy. The weak demonic beast that he could easily subdue had turned into a prehistoric giant beast. The black-robed young man had no doubt that the black bear monster could kill him at any time at this distance. Seeing the black-robed young man's lack of integrity, Xiao Rui and Huang Xuanzong both felt a toothache. Isn't this kid too spineless? Can't he be more unyielding? Anyway, Xiao Rui and Huang Xuanzong are here. They definitely won't let him suffer. You admire me? Then tell me, what do you admire about me? The black bear monster showed an interested look on its face. It took 2 steps forward and gently patted the black-robed young man's shoulder with its furry bear paw. The black bear monster didn't seem to have any ferocious aura at this moment. Instead, it seemed a little silly. However, the black-robed young man was almost scared to tears. Both his legs were trembling. He said with a trembling voice, Master Black Bear, I deserve to die. You're a great person and don't mind me. Just let me go like a fart. The black-robed young man was afraid that the black bear monster would open its bloody mouth and bite his head off. Enough. Just when the black-robed young man was about to collapse, Xiaorui snorted coldly and said, "Black bear monster, although I don't know how you appeared here, you should also want to get the elixirs in the Sacred Medicine Valley, right? There is a group of poisonous bee king in the Sacred Medicine Valley. If we fight here and attract the attention of the poisonous bee king, it won't be a good thing." "You actually know about the poisonous bee king?" The black bear monster looked at Xiaorui in surprise. "Could it be that this human in front of me has also been to the Sacred Medicine Valley before?" "Of course I know. Because the entire Sacred Medicine Valley belongs to my Pill Talisman Mountain." "Black bear monster, why don't we cooperate?" Xiaorui smiled proudly. "How?" the black bear monster asked curiously. "It's simple. In a while, you will rush into the Sacred Medicine Valley and lure the Poison King bees away. We will take the opportunity to harvest the spirit herbs. When the time comes, not only will I give you a share of the spirit herbs, but I will also let you join my Mount Pill Talisman and become my mountain guardian beast. How about that? After all, my Mount Pill Talisman is about to become an eternal holy land. This is your fortune, so don't miss it." Xiaorui said faintly. His voice was very calm, but it carried a towering arrogance, as if letting the black bear monster join Mount Pill Talisman was a gift to the black bear monster. "You want me to lure away the Poison King wasp swarm?" The black bear was stunned for a moment, then a faint smile appeared on its simple and honest bear face. "That's right. Your strength is not bad, you should be able to attract the attention of most of the Poison King bees. You don't need to fight them head-on, you just need to lure them away." Xiaorui said faintly. "Are you out of your mind? You want Grandpa Bear to be your cannon fodder? You think you're worthy? Ant-like thing, hurry up and scram for Grandpa Bear. Otherwise, Grandpa Bear will beat you up until your mother can't recognize you." The black bear monster was instantly enraged and sneered. Rumble. The black bear monster's aura rose and emitted a majestic and terrifying aura fluctuation. In an instant, it caused the surrounding void to tremble slightly. A pair of blood-red bear eyes stared at Xiaorui, Huang Xuanzong, and the others. "Black bear monster, are you crazy? Don't you know that this will attract the Poison King bees?" "Bastard!" Xiaorui's face instantly became extremely ugly. He couldn't wait to tear this bastard black bear monster apart. Buzz! In the Sacred Medicine Valley, the Poison King bees flew out one by one. They also felt the terrifying aura fluctuation from the black bear monster. They began to gather together and faintly emitted a very dangerous aura fluctuation. The black bear monster rolled its eyes and laughed strangely. "So what if I attract the Poison King bees? At most, Grandpa Bear will give up those spirit herbs, but I won't let you bastards get them." Rumble. The black bear monster roared. Its voice was like thunder that shook the void. The terrifying aura around its body rose. It instantly leaped up and its huge bear paw directly slammed towards Xiaorui and Huang Xuanzong. "Damn it! Kill it! The Poison King bees have already been alerted. Let's rush in." Xiaorui's face became extremely ugly. His eyes were filled with killing intent as if he was about to devour someone. He originally planned to lure this black bear monster to be cannon fodder and lure the Poison King bees out. After that, he would be able to sneak in to collect all kinds of spirit herbs. However, he didn't know that this black bear monster suddenly went crazy and actually attacked them without caring about anything else. Rumble. Xiaorui and Huang Xuanzong's body emitted an incomparably terrifying aura fluctuation. The group of young men and women behind them also had their fighting spirit rising in their eyes. They simultaneously attacked, wanting to kill the black bear monster with the fastest speed possible. This was because they had already felt the aura of the Poison King bees gathering and was about to fly out of the valley. "Human, this old bear, am trying my best to buy time for you. You can't let me down. I want the honey of the Poison King bees." "Honey!" The black bear monster's roar resounded in Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness. "Don't worry. I won't miss out on your honey." Ling Xiao smiled faintly and flew towards the valley in an instant. The reason why the black bear monster suddenly became so arrogant and savage and even attacked Xiao Rui and Huang Xuanzong without caring about anything was because Ling Xiao had secretly transmitted a message to it. He wanted it to take the opportunity to cause a disturbance and lure the poison king bees out so that it would be convenient for Ling Xiao to snatch the 5 origin sacred herbs. The black bear monster hesitated for a moment before agreeing. Although it knew that it wasn't a match for the poison king bees, these human experts in front of it were all living targets. As long as it caused a disturbance, the poison king bees wouldn't only target it. The pressure on it would also be reduced by a lot. Rumble. At the entrance of the Sacred Herb Valley, a black wind swept over. The aura of the poison king bees was incomparably terrifying. Under the lead of a golden poison king bee, they rushed towards the black bear monster, Xiao Rui, Huang Xuanzong, and the others. What? They actually came so fast. Xiao Rui and Huang Xuanzong's complexion couldn't help but change. They had just collided with the black bear monster and sent it flying. However, the black bear monster had rough skin and thick flesh. They couldn't kill it in a short period of time. However, at this moment, the poison king bees actually brazenly attacked under the lead of the golden poison king bee. That's right, that golden poison king bee was the king of all poison king bees. Xiao Rui and Huang Xuanzong could feel that the aura of the golden poison king bee was far beyond that of a 9th revolution half-saint. It wasn't much weaker than a true saint. They had to go all out. Xiao Rui and Huang Xuanzong glanced at each other. They immediately clenched their teeth and took out their powerful saint treasures and rushed towards the poison king bees. Chapter 1874. Whoosh! 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 The poisonous bee king swarm covered the sky, and each of the poisonous bee king swarm was like a bolt of black lightning. Their ferocious mouthparts were like steel needles, gleaming with sharpness as they pounced towards the crowd. Rumble! Dazzling divine light burst out. Everyone used their powerful divine abilities and bombarded the poisonous wasp king's body. Unexpectedly, the sound of metal clashing could be heard. They couldn't even break the poisonous wasp king's defense. Only Xiao Rui's crimson golden battle spear pierced through a poisonous wasp king. Huang Xuanzong's 5 elements void shattering shuttle smashed a poisonous wasp king into a bloody mist. As for the others, their complexion changed greatly. They were all caught in a bitter battle. Even though the individual strength of these poison king bees was not strong, their speed was extremely fast. Furthermore, their mouthparts were extremely sharp, capable of sucking out one's essence blood. This caused this group of genius disciples to focus most of their energy on defense. Among the many poisonous wasp king, the wasp king's body was emitting a bright golden glow. On its hard shell, there were golden runes that looked ancient and mysterious. Although the wasp king did not make a move, his cold eyes were filled with killing intent. In the wasp king's eyes, the people who were trying to break into the sacred medicine valley were trespassers who had to be killed. Damn it, how can these poison king bees be so strong? Xiao Rui's and Huang Xuanzong's expressions became somewhat unsightly. Although Xiao Rui knew that there was a poisonous wasp king in the sacred medicine valley, he didn't expect the strength of the poisonous wasp king to be so terrifying. Both he and Huang Xuanzong had flawless holy treasures, but in this battle, they only killed 7 or 8 poisonous wasp king. Furthermore, after they killed the poisonous wasp king, they angered the poisonous wasp king even more, causing the attacks of the poisonous wasp king to become more ferocious. In the sacred medicine valley, Ling Xiao approached the 5 origin sacred herbs. Sure enough, due to the battle between the black bear monster, Xiao Rui, and Huang Xuanzong, almost all of the poisonous bee monarch had been lured away. Even the dozens of poisonous bee monarch guarding the 5 origin sacred herbs had left. It's actually a 5 elements origin sacred herb. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. These 5 origin source sacred herbs were located in the depths of the sacred medicine valley. They contained the origins of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth respectively. They were extremely mysterious. However, for some reason, Ling Xiao could not help but shiver when he saw the 5 origin pills, as if some terrifying existence was staring at him. Let's pluck these 5 origin sacred herbs first. Ling Xiao carefully inspected the 5 origin herbs. He did not discover anything amiss. All he could do was forcefully suppress the pulse of fear and quickly put the 5 origin herbs away. The biggest treasure should be the poisonous queen bee's hive. Ling Xiao's gaze landed on the beehive under the waterfall. The beehive was shimmering with golden light and looked even more mysterious under the cover of the mist. However, Ling Xiao could sense that there was an extremely mysterious restriction in the beehive. If he rashly touched the beehive, the queen bee would definitely discover it immediately. There was only one chance, and Ling Xiao did not want to miss this beehive. Looks like I can only try my best. A sharp glint flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes, and the sky-devouring sword appeared in his hand. Blazing sword light rose up, instantly gathering into a vast and blazing light, slashing towards the cliff behind the hive. Ka-cha! A resplendent light bloomed, and the cliff was extremely sturdy. Runes rose up from it, and then exploded under the unparalleled sharpness of the sky-devouring sword. That was the restriction left behind by the queen bee to protect the hive from harm. However, it could not withstand the power of the sky-devouring sword and was destroyed in an instant. The ground shook, and the mountain rocks shattered. The void trembled violently, and the huge beehive fell from the cliff with a loud bang. Whoosh! Ling Xiao was extremely fast. The moment the beehive fell, he immediately put it into the wordless heaven book. Then, he turned into a stream of light and shot out of the sacred medicine valley. Roar! Just as the beehive fell, Ling Xiao heard an incomparably furious roar resounding through the heavens and earth, causing the void to tremble violently. The surrounding mountains shook, rocks flew, and the earth trembled. It was as if an ancient behemoth had awakened. A resplendent golden light, like a huge sun, flew over from afar. A huge poisonous queen bee was wrapped in the golden light. Its entire body was dazzling, as if it was cast in gold. Its aura was extremely terrifying, and its eyes were filled with anger and bloodthirsty killing intent. The queen bee had arrived. Around the queen bee, there was also a group of furious poisonous queen bees. They abandoned the black bear monster, Xiao Rui, Huang Xuanzong, and the rest, and rushed directly into the sacred medicine valley. These poisonous queen bees did not expect that their nest would be destroyed by someone. An incomparably terrifying aura locked onto Ling Xiao. The speed of the queen bee was too fast. Almost at the moment when Ling Xiao broke the hive with his sword, the queen bee had already rushed into the valley like lightning. The cold killing intent locked onto Ling Xiao. Even if Ling Xiao used the heaven-shrouding secret technique, it would be useless at this moment. What's going on? Is there someone else in the valley? This group of poisonous queen bees seems to have gone completely crazy. There's really someone else. That's Zhao Ritian. The people outside the sacred medicine valley were originally struggling to fight the poisonous queen bees. At this moment, when they saw that the poisonous queen bees had completely gone berserk, giving up on fighting with them and rushing into the sacred medicine valley, they were all extremely puzzled. However, when they saw the figure in the valley, they suddenly trembled, and their eyes were filled with disbelief. Especially Xiao Rui and Huang Xuanzong, they both realized that the person was Ling Xiao. This guy, he actually snatched the hive of the poisonous queen bees? The black bear monster was also filled with disbelief. Its small eyes were rolling around, and it was already looking for an opportunity to escape. Now that the poisonous queen bees were completely enraged, if they continued to stay here, they would only suffer the wrath of the poisonous queen bees. Everyone had already experienced the terror of the poisonous queen bees, and they could imagine that the queen bee would be even more terrifying. At this moment, everyone was a little scared. Damn it, this Xiao Ritian must have snatched the treasure of the sacred medicine valley, and that's why the poisonous queen bees are so angry. Xiao Rui's eyes were filled with anger and jealousy. They were fighting to the death with the poisonous queen bees here, and Ling Xiao had taken advantage of them. Xuanzong Xingzi, it seems like this Xiao Ritian has the treasure of the sacred medicine valley on him. Why don't we join forces to kill him and snatch the treasure from him and divide it equally? Chapter 1875. Alright. Huang Xuanzong also thought of this point. His eyes glinted with sharpness as he nodded. In his opinion, this Xiao Ritian was only a second revolution half-saint. Although it was rumored that his combat strength was very strong, Huang Xuanzong did not put him in his eyes at all. He could easily kill him. Whoosh! Ling Xiao's speed was extremely fast. When the queen bee led the poisonous hornets to attack him, Ling Xiao had already rushed out of the sacred medicine valley with the heaven-devouring sword in his hand. Ling Xiao used the secret teleportation technique. His entire body was like a faint shadow. In an instant, he passed through the encirclement of the poisonous hornets. The heaven-devouring sword in his hand emitted an unparalleled sword light as it slashed towards the queen bee. Ling Xiao could dodge the other poisonous hornets. However, if he wanted to leave the sacred medicine valley, he would have to face the queen bee. This was because the queen bee's speed was extremely fast. Not only was it not slower than Ling Xiao, it was even slightly faster. Ling Xiao could clearly see the poisonous hornet's mouthpart flickering with golden light. It was extremely sharp and piercing towards Ling Xiao's forehead. Clang! When the heaven-devouring sword and the queen bee's mouthpart collided, a dazzling light burst out. Sparks flew in all directions. Ling Xiao could only feel an unparalleled divine power surging towards him. He felt as though his entire body was about to be sent flying. The queen bee's mouthpart was extremely hard. The heaven-devouring sword could not even leave a mark on it. Moreover, the queen bee's strength was incomparably terrifying. Ling Xiao could not withstand the copious amount of divine power. His 5 viscera and 6 bowels were violently shaken. As expected of the queen bee. Although it's not as strong as a true sage, its strength has already far surpassed that of an ordinary 9th revolution half-saint. Ling Xiao forcefully held back the mouthful of blood that rushed up his throat. His eyes became incomparably bright. Whoosh! Ling Xiao borrowed the queen bee's unparalleled divine power. When he was about to be sent flying, his entire body turned into an unimaginable angle. He directly bypassed the queen bee and turned into a golden lightning bolt as he shot out of the sacred medicine valley. The queen bee was stunned for a moment. This human's strength was not strong. It should have directly sent him back to the sacred medicine valley. How could he bypass it and directly rush into the sacred medicine valley? However, the queen bee was enraged. It was a kind of anger and killing intent that was a kind's provocation. Roar! The wasp king roared like an ancient beast, causing the entire sacred medicine valley to tremble violently. Its mouth glowed with unparalleled light. In an instant, it multiplied into 10, then 100. Finally, it turned into tens of thousands of densely packed golden rays that shot toward Ling Xiao. That kind of terrifying power was enough to make a 9th revolution half-saint's scalp tingle. Although Ling Xiao had already rushed to the entrance of the sacred medicine valley, he could still feel the terrifying aura behind him. It was the Wasp King's anger and murderous intent. Xiao Ritian, die! At this moment, an incomparably cold voice exploded in the void. Endless flames gathered in the void, and a golden war spear radiated with incomparably sharp light, piercing through the air towards Ling Xiao. Xiao Rui. Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a trace of cold killing intent. He never thought that Xiao Rui would actually attack him at this time. But this was only the beginning. Rumble. The 5-colored divine light rose, and the wind and clouds surged in the void. The 5 elements space-piercing shuttle buzzed, and wrapped in the 5-colored divine light, it also suppressed Ling Xiao. Huang Xuanzong also attacked. With the Wasp King behind him, the divine light that filled the sky was as sharp as a sword chi, enough to turn a 9th revolution half-saint into ashes. In front of them, Xiao Rui and Huang Xuanzong took out 2 flawless saint treasures, wanting to kill Ling Xiao in one fell swoop. This Xiao Ritian is dead meat. Everyone couldn't help but have the same thought in their minds. Not to mention a mere 2nd revolution half-saint, even a 9th revolution half-saint expert wouldn't have any chance of survival when faced with such a terrifying pincer attack. Xiao Rui, Huang Xuanzong, both of you are courting death. Ling Xiao's eyes were filled with killing intent. He even wanted to directly take out the flipping sky seal and kill Xiao Rui and Huang Xuanzong. But in the end, Ling Xiao restrained himself. Killing Xiao Rui and Huang Xuanzong was a small matter, but if he took out the flipping sky seal, Ling Xiao's identity would definitely be exposed. At that time, a group of saints would come after him before the pill talisman ceremony ended. Kacha. Ling Xiao's body was filled with a mysterious aura. Chaotic mist filled the air, and purple lightning rose up, forming a purple lightning barrier around him. However, it contained heavy and majestic fluctuations. Although Ling Xiao didn't take out the flipping sky seal, he activated the power of the flipping sky seal. Moreover, he used the sky shrouding secret technique to hide it. It looked like a powerful lightning barrier, and no one could discover that it was the power of the flipping sky seal. Rumble. The golden aura behind him hit Ling Xiao's body like a sword chi. Xiao Rui's golden battle spear and Huang Xuanzong's 5-element space-breaking shuttle also hit Ling Xiao's body. A dazzling light exploded like an erupting volcano, accompanied by endless lightning. In an instant, it drowned Ling Xiao. The void was torn apart, the mountains on both sides trembled violently, and the earth cracked. If it wasn't for the mysterious fluctuation of power in the sacred medicinal valley, this attack was enough to destroy the entire sacred medicinal valley. Is Zhao Ritian dead? Everyone had the same question in their hearts. Such a terrifying power even shook a few sage-to-be experts who were close to it, causing them to vomit blood and fly back. Ling Xiao, who was at the center of the explosion, should be dead by now, right? Everyone's gaze couldn't help but fall on the spot where the dazzling divine light exploded. No. Zhao Ritian didn't die. Someone's body trembled, and he couldn't help but widen his eyes as he exclaimed. In the divine light, a mysterious figure appeared in front of everyone. His clothes were whiter than snow, and his black hair fluttered in the wind. The white clothes on his body weren't torn at all, as if he didn't suffer any injuries. Rumble. A vast and majestic fist essence bloomed. It was powerful, and it contained an invincible aura that could sweep across the heavens and suppress the sun, the moon, and the stars. Ling Xiao's eyes were blazing. He punched out with both his fists, and it was directly aimed at Xiao Rui and Huang Xuanzong. Ling Xiao was completely enraged. These two fists contained the ultimate physical strength in his body. A dragon's roar resounded through the sky, and rays of purple divine light soared into the sky. At this moment, he seemed to have transformed into an ancient peerless celestial emperor who wanted to cleanse the demons and suppress all enemies in the world. How is this possible? Xiao Rui and Huang Xuanzong's body trembled, and their eyes revealed a trace of disbelief. They didn't expect that Ling Xiao not only survived under such a terrifying attack, but he was also unscathed. He even launched such a terrifying attack at them. However, the two of them were too close to Ling Xiao. They were so close that there was no room for them to dodge. The two peerless fist seals had already pressed down on them. Chapter 1876. Puff! Puff! Two rays of bloody light blossomed in the void. Xiao Rui and Huang Xuanzong's bodies trembled violently. Although they tried their best to resist and wanted to increase the distance between them and Ling Xiao's speed was too fast. That unparalleled fist print suppressed the world and instantly broke through their layers of defense. When a martial artist was angry, heaven and earth would be shocked. Within 100 feet, everyone would be his enemy. This was the terror of a physical body expert. They refined their physical body and formed their own small world. They didn't rely on heaven and earth. They used their own strength and fists to create a bright universe. The next step was the physical sage realm. No one would be willing to fight with a physical sage realm expert in close combat. A physical sage realm expert could tear apart any sage in the same realm in close combat. Both Xiao Rui and Huang Xuanzong suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. Their chests caved in, and the two of them were directly sent flying. They ruthlessly smashed into the mountain wall in the distance. Suddenly, the earth quaked and the mountain shook. Countless mountain rocks exploded. How can you block the joint attack of the queen bee and us? This is impossible. Xiao Rui's face was full of disbelief. His body was trembling violently. He originally thought that in the face of such a terrifying attack, even a 9th revolution half-saint would die without a doubt, let alone Ling Xiao, who was only a 2nd revolution half-saint. However, Ling Xiao survived. That's a defensive holy treasure. Huang Xuanzong's eyes flashed. Although Ling Xiao had just used the sky-shrouding secret technique to conceal the aura of the flipping sky seal, Huang Xuanzong still felt a trace of the aura of a holy treasure. However, it was not an ordinary holy treasure that could block such a terrifying attack from the queen bee, Xiao Rui, and Huang Xuanzong. Even Huang Xuanzong was a little jealous of such a powerful holy treasure. Who is this Xiao Ritian? Defensive holy treasure. Damn it, no wonder this Xiao Ritian is so fearless. Xiao Rui's face instantly became unsightly. His eyes were incomparably gloomy. What's wrong with the queen bee? Someone said in surprise. After the queen bee launched a terrifying attack on Ling Xiao, it didn't continue to attack. Instead, it became a little strange. The golden queen bee, which was as huge as a millstone, was trembling all over at this moment, as if it was about to fall directly from the void. There was a trace of incomparable horror in its eyes. Wang! Not only the golden queen bee, but all the other poisonous king bees were also trembling. Originally, they looked ferocious and wanted to attack Ling Xiao and the other experts. However, at this moment, it was as if they had met their natural enemy. They fell directly from the void and lay on the ground, trembling. What happened? Ling Xiao also saw the changes in the golden queen bee and the poisonous king bee swarm. His gaze turned solemn. Rumble. The entire sacred medicine valley began to shake. The space trembled and mist rose. Streaks of divine light rose from the sacred medicine valley. In the end, they converged into an extremely vast vortex of devouring power. The boundless spiritual essence of the entire sacred medicine valley was devoured by the vortex like a whale swallowing the sea. An ancient, mysterious, and terrifying aura slowly awakened from the depths of the sacred medicine valley. Everyone trembled, their eyes filled with disbelief. It was as if an ancient ferocious beast had awoken from its slumber. Its aura was too vast and terrifying. Kacha! The boundless divine herbs in the sacred medicine valley began to wither at a speed visible to the naked eye. All the vitality was devoured. Then, all the flowers, plants, and trees, even the towering ancient trees that were hundreds of feet tall, turned into dust. Almost in an instant, the sacred medicine valley became a land of death. Oh no, run! Everyone suddenly came to their senses. Their eyes were filled with terror as they fled out of the sacred medicine valley. Even Xiao Rui and Huang Xuanzong couldn't care less about Ling Xiao at this moment. They leaped up and wanted to leave the sacred medicine valley. The aura was far beyond that of a sage-to-be. It had probably reached the realm of a sage. No matter what kind of existence it wasn't something they could contend with. To be able to turn the sacred medicine valley into a land of death in an instant, this kind of divine sense was beyond their imagination. They couldn't even muster the slightest thought of resisting. Boom! The entire sacred medicine valley trembled violently. Then, it cracked open all of a sudden. The mountain rocks crumbled, and the void shattered. The passageway that led to the sacred medicine valley shattered as well. A vast and mysterious power shrouded the entire place. Oh no, that natural array has been activated. Xiao Rui and Huang Xuanzong's complexion became extremely unsightly. They looked at the somewhat distorted void in front of them. The runes intertwined into a huge array, making it impossible for them to escape. The natural array outside the sacred medicine valley hadn't been activated before. So, anyone could enter the sacred medicine valley as long as they found the passageway. However, it had been completely activated now. An incomparably terrifying thought emerged in everyone's mind. Could it be that the natural array was arranged by this existence that was about to awaken? A turtle in a jar. Everyone had become a turtle in a jar. There was no way to break that natural array in a short period of time. Rumble. The chaotic mist pervaded the void. A bright divine light rushed out from the sacred medicine valley. Then, it exploded in the void with a loud bang, and formed a mysterious fire chilin. The fire chilin was 10,000 feet tall. The flames around its body were monstrous. It was exuding an incomparably terrifying chi and blood power. Each of its scales was exuding an unparalleled sharpness as if it could tear the world apart. What? Could it be that a divine beast fire chilin is sealed in the sacred medicine valley? Someone exclaimed. His eyes were filled with disbelief. The Chilin clan was one of the 5 divine beasts. They were on par with the Dragon clan, Phoenix clan, Black Tortoise clan, and White Tiger clan. They were the well-deserved overlords of the demon world. In the ancient times, during the demon era, the 5 divine beasts had supreme experts of the great emperor realm. They dominated the heavens and the myriad of worlds. Their strength was extremely terrifying. In the current human era, although the demon world had declined and there was no news of a new demon emperor being born, the 5 divine beasts were still not to be underestimated. They were all overlord-level forces that were comparable to the immortal Saint Grounds and Supreme Monarch clans in the divine world. The fire Chilin in front of them had an ancient and terrifying bloodline power. It was hard not to associate it with the Chilin clan. Roar. The fire Chilin let out an earth-shattering roar that shook the heavens and the earth. It contained a power that could destroy the heavens and the earth. Especially its pair of eyes, which were cold and bloodthirsty, causing people to feel their hearts palpitating. Look, there is a figure on top of the fire Chilin. Chapter 1877. Kacha. The flames burned fiercely, turning this place into a world of flames. Through the endless flames, everyone saw a white-clothed figure sitting cross-legged on the fire Chilin. His black hair fluttered in the wind, and his skin was sparkling like jade. His aura was incomparably mysterious. Although they couldn't see his face clearly, his extraordinary temperament made him seem like an immortal. It made people feel ashamed of their inferiority. A fire Chilin as a mount? Who is this person? Huang Xuanzong's gaze was shaken. His eyes were filled with incomparable horror. He could feel that the white-clothed figure sitting on the fire Chilin had not reached the sage realm. However, the aura on his body was far beyond the 9th revolution half-saint realm. It made Huang Xuanzong's heart palpitate. He was incomparably shocked in his heart because his cultivation had already reached the 9th revolution half-saint realm. He was only one step away from becoming a sage. However, why was the aura of the white-clothed figure in front of him even more terrifying than his? Along with the endless essence of the world in the entire sacred medicine valley being devoured, the inexhaustible life essence was like a vast whirlpool, and integrated into the body of the white-clothed figure. Then, he slowly woke up. Buzz! 2 resplendent eyes pierced through the void. They were vicissitudes of life, ancient, indifferent and mysterious. It seemed as if there was a mysterious world flowing within. It also seemed as if it could burn the void. It was extremely mysterious. Rumble. A resplendent divine light erupted. In an instant, endless multicolored light gushed out, and rendered everyone's eyes as if it was daytime. The fire Chilin also disappeared in front of everyone's eyes. A white-clothed figure slowly walked out of the radiance, and appeared in front of everyone. It was a man who looked perfect. His black hair fluttered in the wind, and he looked confident and unrestrained. His face was incomparably handsome, and he was even more beautiful than those so-called peerless fairies. Yes, he could only be described as beautiful. His face didn't seem to have a single flaw. His gem-like eyes were dazzling, and flowed with gorgeous radiance. His skin was as white as ivory, and his figure was incomparably slender. Especially that kind of extraordinary temperament, but also somewhat vicissitudes of life. It was very unforgettable. All in all, he was a very beautiful man. Behind the man was an extremely adorable little dog. It followed the man with its short legs. Its fur was crimson red, and its eyes were especially clear and pure, as if they did not contain any impurities. This kind of little dog was too cute. Any woman would not be able to bear it and would want to hold it in their arms and dote on it. However, everyone's hearts were somewhat in disbelief. They couldn't help but have a thought. This little dog couldn't be that 10,000 feet tall fire Qilin, right? The man in the moon-white robe looked clean and flawless. His temperament was transcendent, and there was a faint smile at the corner of his mouth as he slowly walked to the front of the crowd. Everyone's eyes were filled with fear. Now that the natural formation had been completely activated, the white-robed man in front of them looked too strange. They didn't know what the white-robed man would do next. Everyone, may I know which era it is now? The white-robed man swept his gaze across the crowd and smiled. Which era was it? This question stunned everyone, but when they reacted, they couldn't help but tremble. Could it be that this white-robed man wasn't from this era? Your Honor, it is now, the era of the human race. Someone mustered up the courage to answer, but his voice was still trembling. The era of the human race? Looks like it's not too late. Has the Heaven's Choice Conference begun? The white-robed man nodded. The smile on his face deepened, and his attitude became gentler. The Heaven's Choice Conference? These words seemed to have some kind of magic, causing everyone's expression to change slightly. However, Ling Xiao suddenly took a step forward and said indifferently, the Heaven's Choice Conference hasn't begun yet, but it is now the end of the era. The Heaven's Choice Conference shouldn't be more than 10 years from now. This news was obtained by Ling Xiao from the War God Temple. It was also Ling Xiao's perception that the world was about to change greatly. Perhaps it had a lot to do with the end of the era and the Heaven's Choice Conference. Although Ling Xiao didn't know the intentions of this mysterious white-robed man, he still answered him. The Heaven's Choice Conference hasn't begun yet? That's even better news. Not bad, not bad. Little brother, if I'm not wrong, it was you who pulled out those 5 weeds to let me out, right? I can't thank you enough for your great kindness, and I will definitely repay you generously. The white-robed man looked at Ling Xiao very affectionately and smiled. Ling Xiao was a little stunned. He had thought that the white-robed man would explode with terrifying battle strength and kill everyone. Ling Xiao had even planned to use the flipping sky seal to save his life. However, the attitude of the white-robed man in front of him had made him a little uncertain. Ling Xiao had not expected the white-robed man's reaction. And the 5 weeds that the white-robed man spoke of? Weren't those 5 origin sacred herbs? This white-robed man actually treated them as weeds. Wasn't his tone a little too arrogant? Everyone couldn't help but glance at Ling Xiao. This white-robed man was actually released by Ling Xiao. May I ask your distinguished name, and what is your relationship with the Kirin clan? Ling Xiao asked curiously. This one is Jiang Luer. My name is not worth mentioning, and I actually have no relationship with the Kirin clan. Well, little brother, we'll meet again someday. The white-robed man laughed heartily at Ling Xiao and directly told him his name. Kacha. After he finished speaking, he leaped up in an instant, and a bright light bloomed around him. The vast natural array around him actually disappeared directly, and then poured into his body. The void trembled violently. The white-robed man, Jiang Luer, directly grabbed the little dog and disappeared in front of everyone. Moreover, after the natural array disappeared, a vast expanse of yellow sand appeared outside the sacred medicine valley. It stretched as far as the eye could see, and it was the desert outside. Jiang Luer. Ling Xiao was slightly stunned. This name was very unfamiliar, and he had never heard of it before. However, one thing for sure was that this Jiang Luer didn't have any malicious intentions. Instead, he showed a trace of kindness to Ling Xiao, which made Ling Xiao a little confused. Jiang Luer. Jiang Luer. Could it be him? Huang Xuanzong's body trembled, as if he had thought of something. His eyes revealed a trace of incomparable horror. Xuanzong's holy son, who is Jiang Luer? Xiao Rui asked curiously when he saw Huang Xuanzong's expression. Huang Xuanzong took a deep breath and said, Jiang Luer is also a human, but he was known as the #1 peerless genius 90 million years ago. He was also known as the person who was most likely to become a sage in that era, and even had the potential to become an emperor. As long as everyone goes back and looks carefully, it shouldn't be difficult to find the legend about him. But how could he live until today, 90 million years later? Huang Xuanzong's voice was trembling, and he couldn't believe everything in front of him. After hearing Huang Xuanzong's words, everyone couldn't help but take a deep breath. Chapter 1878. Jiang Luer, a legendary name. If the Great Void Emperor was the most promising peerless genius to become an emperor 10 million years ago, then Jiang Luer would be the most promising person to become an emperor 90 million years ago. Although Jiang Luer had not even proven his Tao and become a saint, his talent still amazed all the heavens and realms. To be able to stand side by side with the Great Void Emperor, one could see how terrifying he was. Some said that Jiang Luer was killed by the experts of the demon race. Some said that Jiang Luer did not become a saint and died under the divine tribulation. Some even said that Jiang Luer had gone to other great thousand worlds, but no one knew his whereabouts. But now, Jiang Luer actually appeared in front of everyone, which made everyone feel that it was unreal. Did Jiang Luer seal himself? How much shock will his awakening bring to the divine world after 90 million years? This matter must be reported to the sect as soon as possible. Huang Xuanzong muttered to himself, unable to hide the shock in his eyes. Rumble. After Jiang Luer disappeared, the void trembled violently. The natural array was broken, and a vast expanse of yellow sand appeared outside. Xuanzong Saint, let's go. Xiao Rui said to Huang Xuanzong as he looked at Ling Xiao coldly. Huang Xuanzong nodded. The two of them leaped up and flew towards the desert in the distance. In their opinion, since Ling Xiao was extremely powerful and had an extremely powerful defensive saint treasure, they would only be humiliating themselves if they stayed. They might even be defeated by Ling Xiao. Swoosh! 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 With Jiang Luer's appearance, everyone no longer had the slightest intention to continue fighting. Furthermore, the sacred medicine valley had already turned into a land of death. Ling Xiao was obviously not someone to be trifled with. Everyone had different expressions on their faces as they leaped up and left. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed, but he did not continue to attack. If he used the flipping sky seal, he might be able to stop Xiao Rui and Huang Xuanzong, but his identity would be exposed. The most important thing now was the alchemy and talisman competition. Unless it was absolutely necessary, Ling Xiao did not want to expose his identity. Buzz! The poison king bee swarm, which had been suppressed by Jiang Luer's aura to the point of trembling, slowly recovered. Their eyes involuntarily revealed a trace of ferocity. However, Ling Xiao had already noticed the poison king wasp swarm. Taking advantage of the fact that they had yet to form a powerful attack, he had already used a teleportation secret technique to leave this place. The angry roars of the Wasp King and the poisonous Wasp King resounded throughout the ruined Sacred Medicine Valley, echoing in the sky above the desert. Jiang Luer, the peerless genius from 90 million years ago, chose to seal himself. Could it be that the world is about to change? Apart from Jiang Luer, could there be other Heaven's Pride experts? Ling Xiao thought to himself as he flew through the desert. Since Jiang Luer was not dead, perhaps many of those peerless geniuses of the past and those who had disappeared were still alive? The strength of those people was destined to be incomparably terrifying. They could even kill saints before they had proven their Tao and become saints. The Heavenly Chosen Convention was a grand event of an era. It would attract countless Heaven's Pride experts from all over the world to participate. Legend had it that it contained the secret to becoming an emperor. This era had already reached its end. All karma, all fate, and all space-time would collide and converge at this time, and then give birth to a new life. It was destruction, but also new life. the importance of the heavenly chosen convention could be imagined. It was worthy of those legendary peerless geniuses sealing themselves for a lifetime, waiting for the arrival of the heavenly chosen convention. Ling Xiao thought a lot, and he felt a sense of crisis in his heart. Those heavens' prides from tens of millions or even hundreds of millions of years ago had an incomparable foundation. Not to mention saint techniques, they did not even lack emperor sutras. They might even have extreme emperor weapons. Their strength was terrifying to the extreme. Currently, Ling Xiao's cultivation was only at the second revolution half-saint realm. With his invincible physique and supreme saint techniques, he could contend against a ninth revolution half-saint. If he used the flipping sky seal, he could even severely injure or kill an ordinary saint. However, this foundation was probably not enough in front of those peerless geniuses. Strength. Ling Xiao still needed great strength. I've already obtained the purple sun dragon tongue orchid and many other treasures. When I refine the purple sun saint pill, my cultivation will definitely advance by leaps and bounds. Now, the most important thing is to find the red scorpion root and participate in the alchemy talisman ceremony. Ling Xiao suppressed the complicated emotions in his heart and secretly thought to himself. Although the red scorpion root was only a semi-sage herb, it was extremely difficult to find. It looked like a scorpion and was usually hidden in a place of extreme yang. On the surface, there was no aura fluctuation, so it was not easy to find. Ling Xiao flew in the desert while releasing the power of his primordial spirit to cover the surrounding area, looking for the whereabouts of the red scorpion root. As for the black bear monster, it had taken the lead to leave the sacred medicine valley. When Jiang Luo appeared, it had already fled to God knows where. Rumble. Suddenly, the desert in front of him exploded. A brown scorpion rushed out of the desert. Its two huge claws flickered with a metallic luster and were incomparably sharp. It suddenly cut towards Ling Xiao's head. The scorpion was extremely fast and ruthless. If an ordinary half-saint was caught off guard, they would also be hit. Huh! A sharp light flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes. He did not dodge or evade. Instead, he faced the incoming scorpion with a punch. The golden fist was incomparably strong and ferocious. It seemed as if it could penetrate everything. In an instant, it collided with the two huge claws. Then, only a violent rumbling sound was heard. The two claws directly exploded. Bang! Ling Xiao kicked the scorpion's body like lightning. The incomparably solid carapace on the scorpion's body also exploded with a loud bang. Then, Ling Xiao's kick turned the scorpion into a bloody mist. This is the red scorpion. It is said that the red scorpion has an extremely strong defensive power. Its carapace is a supreme treasure used to refine defensive holy treasures. Moreover, there is a high chance that the red scorpion root will appear in the place where the red scorpion root is bred. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. A red scorpion had appeared in this desert. Then, as long as he found the nest of the red scorpion root, it was very likely that he would find the red scorpion root. Ling Xiao's eyes could not help but brighten. At the same time, he felt a little regretful. It seemed that he should not have killed this red scorpion root. Rumble. Ling Xiao's qi and blood pervaded the air. He was like a terrifying fierce beast. He simply did not fly in the void. Instead, he walked barefoot in the desert. The red scorpion root was very sensitive to creatures with strong qi and blood. Ling Xiao released his qi and blood. In the eyes of the red scorpion root, it was no different from a sun in the darkness. They would unconsciously approach it. Chapter 1879. Not long after, Ling Xiao encountered a red armored scorpion. However, this time, 3 red armored scorpions charged out of the desert at the same time, wanting to attack Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao's fist was like lightning, instantly killing 2 of the red armored scorpions, then heavily injuring the 3rd red armored scorpion. Hiss! Although the red armored scorpion's intelligence wasn't high, it could still feel the terror of Ling Xiao's strength. It couldn't provoke him at all. There was a trace of human-like fear in its eyes, then it directly plunged into the desert. You think you can escape? Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a trace of mockery. That red-armored scorpion's body was already attached to a trace of Ling Xiao's divine sense. He immediately used the secret teleportation technique and drilled into the depths of the desert, following the red-armored scorpion. The secret teleportation technique could teleport thousands of worlds, and it also contained the mysteries of the 5 elements escape technique. A mere sea of sand couldn't stop Ling Xiao at all. Ling Xiao was like a swimming fish, the sea of sand on both sides parted, and he followed the red-armored scorpion's aura forward. Ling Xiao believed that since the red-armored scorpion had suffered such heavy injuries, it would definitely flee directly into its nest. However, the red-armored scorpion was also a sacred creature that lived in groups. Normally, there would be a scorpion king. If the Scorpion King was as strong as the Wasp King, it wouldn't be so easy for Ling Xiao to obtain the red-armored scorpion root. In the sea of sand, there were surging quicksand everywhere, and there were even sand whirlpools. If an ordinary person fell into the sea of sand, it would be very difficult to find their way, and they might even be killed by the red-armored scorpion's sneak attack. To put it bluntly, the sea of sand was the world of the red-armored scorpion. However, Ling Xiao used the heaven-shrouding secret technique, and his entire person seemed to have become one with the sea of sand. Therefore, even if he discovered the red-armored scorpion hidden in the sea of sand, they didn't discover him. As the frequency of Ling Xiao encountering the red-armored scorpion increased, Ling Xiao had a premonition that he was about to reach the nest of the red-armored scorpion. Boom! The quicksand in front of him suddenly changed, and a bright red light appeared. It looked gorgeous and dazzling, like a bright sun. Ling Xiao could see that in the middle of the resplendent sun, there was actually a huge rock that formed an ancient and dilapidated stone palace. That stone palace flowed with the vicissitudes of the vicissitudes of the vicissitudes of the vicissitudes of time. The red-armored scorpion. However, Ling Xiao could see that there were at least 1,000 red-shelled scorpions in the stone palace. The smallest one was more than 10 feet long. There were even a few red-shelled scorpions that were more than 100 feet long. They looked like red divine dragons. Their aura was terrifying. They were not weaker than experts of the 9th Revolution half-saint realm. However, Ling Xiao could also feel an incomparably obscure yet powerful aura emanating from within the stone palace, emitting a powerful king's aura. Red-armored king scorpion. Ling. After the heavily injured red-armored scorpion broke into the area covered by the red light, it found a place to lie down and began to breathe in the red essence chi of heaven and earth, slowly healing the injuries on its body. None of the countless red-armored scorpions outside the stone hall dared to enter. Could it be that this is an ancient ruin? Ling Xiao carefully observed the ancient stone palace. He didn't act rashly. Although the ancient stone palace was dilapidated, one could still see that its architectural style belonged to the antiquity age. There were some mysterious patterns on the walls. The bright red light that enveloped the stone palace was emitted by the patterns on the stone palace. In the center of the stone hall, there was a small tree that was about 10 feet tall. Its entire body was as red as fire, and its bark was mottled like dragon scales. The branches and leaves were sparse, and there were 3 fist-sized red fruits on it. It looked as if there was a small red scorpion swimming inside. Below the small tree, there were more than 10 red saplings. They were filled with red spiritual mist and swayed slightly. When the red-armored scorpions saw the saplings, their eyes were filled with passion. However, no one dared to approach them. There are so many red scorpion roots. And there is even a red scorpion root that has become a saint medicine of origin? Ling Xiao's body trembled. His eyes revealed a trace of disbelief. Those red saplings were the red scorpion roots that Ling Xiao had been searching for. As for the small tree, it was also a red scorpion root. However, its powerful aura had far exceeded that of an ordinary semi-divine medicine. It had reached the level of a saint medicine of origin. After all, the small pill talisman world had existed for countless years. Although the red scorpion root was a semi-divine medicine, it had the potential to become a saint medicine of origin. That red scorpion root must have grown for tens of thousands of years to reach its current state. As for the 3 red fruits on the red scorpion root tree, they should be the red scorpion fruit. It was a kind of heaven and earth treasure that could enhance the power of the primordial spirit. It contained the essence of the red scorpion root. Ling Xiao was thinking about how to snatch these red scorpion roots. After all, there was a group of red armored scorpions around. There was even a red armored scorpion king in the stone palace. A moment of carelessness would cause the red armored scorpion king to fly into a rage. With Ling Xiao's strength, there was no way he could fight against so many red armored scorpions and red armored scorpion king unless he could use the flipping sky seal. Boom! Just as Ling Xiao was thinking of a solution, the quicksand in the distance suddenly, a handsome figure with an arrogant face appeared in front of the stone palace. Zhao Ritian. Ling Xiao could not help but be stunned. Zhao Ritian had actually appeared here. Could it be that he was also here for the red scorpion root? Zhao Ritian looked extremely arrogant. He did not even hide his aura and appeared in the red armored scorpion's nest. On Zhao Ritian's shoulder, there was a 3-legged red bird. Its eyes were bright and cold, and there was a faint red glow around it. However, Ling Xiao had used the heaven-shrouding secret skill. Therefore, Zhao Ritian did not notice that Ling Xiao was also in the red armored scorpion's nest. Little Red, I'll be counting on you later. Zhao Ritian patted the little red bird on his shoulder and said with a smile. The little red bird did not bother with Zhao Ritian. It raised its proud little head and looked at the red armored scorpion in front of it with a look of disdain. Boom! Zhao Ritian's appearance instantly alerted many red armored scorpions. Those red armored scorpions immediately exuded an incomparably terrifying baleful aura. Their eyes were also incomparably red as they stared ferociously at Zhao Ritian. This was the red armored scorpion's nest. Those who dared to enter this place were tantamount to invading. Instantly, those red armored scorpions were enraged. Streaks of red armored scorpions emitted powerful auras as they charged towards Zhao Ritian at lightning speed. Their huge pincers were flowing with a reddish-gold radiance and were extremely sharp. The carapace on their bodies looked like it was made of pure gold, containing powerful energy waves. A bunch of useless chickens and pottery dogs dare to offend me, Zhao Ritian. Little Red, I'll leave them to you. Zhao Ritian smiled faintly as he stood with his hands behind his back. His eyes were filled with arrogance. As for the little red bird on his shoulder, its eyes instantly turned red. Chapter 1880. Chirp. A piercing sound exploded in the void. The little red bird soared into the sky, flames gushing out from its body. Its body expanded rapidly, and its golden wings were as sharp as swords. Its 3 golden feet looked like they were made of metal, and its entire body exuded a ferocious aura. Its eyes were cold and scarlet, and it had the bearing of a king that looked down on the world. It suddenly spat out a mouthful of golden flames, which instantly burned fiercely. It was like a sea of fire that enveloped the red armored scorpions. Golden Crow Sacred Fire. It's really the ancient divine beast, the 3-legged golden crow. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he looked deeply at the little red bird in the void. He had his suspicions for a long time. Until he saw the real body of the little red bird, he was sure that it was the 3-legged golden crow of the ancient times. It was one of the 10 ancient divine beasts like the dragon and the phoenix. It was ferocious and was even the overlord of an era. The golden crow's sacred fire of the 3-legged golden crow could burn the heavens and destroy the earth. It was extremely terrifying. It was said that in the ancient times, there was a golden crow sacred emperor who was extremely ferocious. The golden crow's sacred fire could burn a part of the great thousand world, and hundreds of millions of living beings died in his hands. Ling Xiao was a little envious. This Zhao Ritian was really lucky to be able to subdue the 3-legged golden crow. Rumble. As the golden crow's sacred fire filled the sky, even the void began to distort. An incomparably hot aura rose up, and the eyes of those red armored scorpions were filled with incomparable fear. Their mouths let out incomparably shrill roars. Some of the weaker red armored scorpions were directly burned into ashes by the golden crow's sacred fire. Their tough shells melted in an instant, and they could not even withstand the golden crow's sacred fire for a moment. In the blink of an eye, hundreds of red-armored scorpions were buried in the sea of fire. Chirp! Another clear chirp was heard. The three-legged golden crow swooped down from the void, and its sharp beak shone with a cold light. Its speed was extremely fast, and it instantly rushed to the front of a red-armored scorpion that was more than 100 feet long. The red-armored scorpion had just rushed out of the sea of fire, and its body was still covered in the golden crow's sacred fire. It was about to escape, but it did not expect to meet the golden crow's sacred fire. Puff! With a flash of blood-red light, the three-legged gold crow's beak directly broke the red scorpion's hard shell. Then, with a big gulp, it swallowed the red scorpion's brain and primordial spirit. The life force of the red-armored scorpion dissipated at a speed visible to the naked eye. It fell into the sea of fire below and turned into ashes. Roar! The scarlet-armored scorpions roared like lions and tigers. Although the majority of the scarlet-armored scorpions were incomparably panicked, they desperately tried to escape from the sea of fire. However, there were still 7 or 8 red-armored scorpions that were enraged. Their eyes were filled with bloodthirsty killing intent as they charged towards the three-legged golden crow. Their bodies were hundreds of meters long, and they were the most terrifying ones among all the red-armored scorpions. Although the golden crow's sacred fire was incomparably terrifying and made them look somewhat miserable, it was unable to break through their shells. It only made them cry out in pain. Whoosh! 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 The ferocious nature of the red shell scorpions was aroused. Their eyes were filled with monstrous killing intent. Their huge pincers slashed down towards the three-legged golden crow. Their huge bodies were like small mountains, rumbling in the void. The three-legged golden crow's eyes revealed a trace of disdain as if it was extremely human-like. Its body swayed and instantly turned into a looming shadow, disappearing on the spot. Puff! Puff! The three-legged golden crow's speed was extremely fast. It was so fast that the naked eye could not catch it. There were a few blood-red lights in the void. In an instant, the three-legged golden crow pecked open the skulls of 3 red-armored scorpions. The three-legged golden crow's ferocity was incomparably terrifying. These red-armored scorpions whose aura was comparable to the peak of the half-saint realm died in the hands of the three-legged golden crow. This made Ling Xiao suck in a breath of cold air. Damn, is this guy the son of destiny? Ling Xiao was speechless. He stared at Zhao Ritian for a long time and could not help but curse. After coming to the divine world, he had experienced all kinds of calamities and life and death crises. Although his cultivation had improved by leaps and bounds, he had only reached the second revolution half-saint realm. However, this bastard Zhao Ritian had appeared out of nowhere and his cultivation had reached the 7th revolution half-saint realm. Not only had he reached the 7th revolution half-saint realm, but he had also subdued such a terrifying three-legged golden crow. Ling Xiao even felt a faint aura from Zhao Ritian's body, which made his heart palpitate. Ling Xiao was cursing in his heart. He really wanted to say to Zhao Ritian, "I have something to say, but I don't know if I should say it." Ling Xiao came from the mortal world and had never seen someone as strange as Zhao Ritian. He was like the son of God, with all kinds of opportunities and opportunities. That's right, Ling Xiao was really jealous. In the distance, Zhao Ritian was wearing a set of golden armor. He looked extraordinarily gorgeous and majestic. His figure was slender and handsome. His black hair fluttered in the wind as he stood with his hands behind his back. He had an extraordinary aura. Of course, if it was not for his arrogant eyes, proud face, and annoying smile that ruined his aura, he really did have the demeanor of an expert. The three-legged golden crow was extremely fast. It only took a few breaths of time from the time it spat out the golden crow's sacred fire to the time it killed the scarlet-armored scorpions that were comparable to the peak of the half-saint realm. However, the arrogance of the three-legged golden crow and Zhao Ritian had naturally angered the scarlet-armored scorpion king in the stone palace. Roar! An extremely terrifying roar was heard, causing the entire stone palace to tremble violently. It contained an extremely violent and angry aura. Even the three-legged golden crow, who was slaughtering the scarlet-armored scorpions, could not help but raise its head. Its eyes revealed a trace of seriousness. Kacha! A dazzling divine light bloomed. A golden lightning shot out from the stone palace. Its speed was extremely fast, and it went straight for the three-legged golden crow. The three-legged golden crow could not help but let out a cry. Its golden wings seemed to have exploded. One of its sharp feet slapped towards the lightning. Boom! A rumbling sound was heard in the void. The three-legged golden crow and the golden lightning could not help but tremble. They retreated at the same time. At this time, Ling Xiao could see clearly that the golden lightning was only a foot long. It was a scorpion that looked like it was cast in gold. It was very delicate and small. Its shell was incomparably tough, but it had an extremely ancient and fierce aura. Its pair of cold and angry eyes stared at the three-legged golden crow. Scarlet-armored Scorpion King. It's really strong. Chapter 1881. The five elements were mutually reinforcing and restraining each other. Earth gave birth to fire. To a certain extent, Earth could also restrain fire. Although the red-armored scorpions had died in the hands of the three-legged golden crow, that was because the three-legged golden crow was too powerful. However, the red-armored Scorpion King was not any weaker than the three-legged golden crow. Therefore, the golden crow holy fire had little effect on the red-armored Scorpion King. Ling Xiao could see that although the red-armored Scorpion King's body was enveloped by the golden crow holy fire, the red-armored Scorpion King's shell was glowing and absorbing the golden crow holy fire. Therefore, the three-legged golden crow was also on high alert. His eyes revealed a trace of ferocious aura. Boom! The aura of the two ferocious beasts surged as flames and the power of heaven and earth rose. It looked like a battle was about to break out. At this moment, Zhao Ritian took a step forward with his hands behind his back. He looked at the red-armored Scorpion King and said, "Little Scorpion, I know you can understand my words. Surrender and become my pet. I will give you unparalleled good fortune. This is the biggest opportunity in your life. I hope you can seize it." Ling Xiao was stunned. Zhao Ritian wanted to keep the red-armored Scorpion King as his pet. One had to know that the red-armored Scorpion King's strength was definitely much stronger than an ordinary 9th Revolution half-saint. Why would such an arrogant monster king submit to Zhao Ritian? Zhao Ritian's words would only anger the red-armored Scorpion King. Roar! Sure enough, after hearing Zhao Ritian's words, the Crimson Scorpion King roared angrily. Its eyes turned blood red as it growled, "Human, you have successfully angered me. I will tear you into pieces. And this damned bird, how dare you kill my subordinates? You must die too. Little Scorpion, you don't know what kind of opportunity you have missed. However, I, Zhao Ritian, am a man of my words. If I say I want you to be my pet, you have to be my pet." Zhao Ritian sighed softly. His face was filled with an extremely cold and arrogant expression. Go to hell. The crimson-armored Scorpion King was thoroughly enraged. It let out a loud roar and a reddish-gold light flashed around its body. Then, it charged towards Zhao Ritian. Come, come. Let me see what you're capable of." Zhao Ritian was elated. He threw a punch towards the red-armored Scorpion King. Boom! Zhao Ritian threw out a punch. Instantly, an extremely hot aura was emitted from his body. It was as if flames were gushing out from his fist and converging into a sea. Finally, an extremely dazzling sun rose from the sea. At this moment, Zhao Ritian seemed to have transformed into a supreme heavenly emperor, controlling the sun, the moon, and the stars. The mysterious scene of hundreds of millions of suns rising with a single punch was extremely majestic. At this moment, Zhao Ritian's aura was not any weaker than the three-legged golden crow. Moreover, the domineering and blazing fist intent, the invincible and majestic aura was even stronger than the three-legged golden crow. Crack! Scorpion 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 King Scorpion Scorpion King King. Scorpion scornful scorpion scorpion king 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 scorpion score, to score score scorpion 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 king scorpion scorpion king scorpion king 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 king. What a domineering fist intent! Ling Xiao was shocked. Zhao Ritian's fist technique had far surpassed the supreme sacred techniques that he had cultivated. Only the Great Void Emperor's fist and the Heavenly Emperor's fist that he had comprehended from the Thunder Calamity could be compared to it. Could it be that Zhao Ritian has also obtained the Great Emperor's inheritance? Ling Xiao thought to himself. Boom! Boom! Rumble! Zhao Ritian threw out a few punches. Every punch was domineering and ferocious with unparalleled power. It was as if they could pierce through the void in all directions. Huge suns rose from the chaos in all directions, making Zhao Ritian look even more majestic. The red-armored Scorpion King was also sent flying by Zhao Ritian. However, the red-armored Scorpion King was surrounded by the mysterious power of heaven and earth. It gathered into a mysterious rune, and its defense was terrifying. Even Zhao Ritian could not break through the red-armored Scorpion King's defense. Human, you deserve to die. The red-armored Scorpion King was shocked and furious. It did not expect Zhao Ritian to be so powerful. It could not even fight back. This made the red-armored Scorpion King even more furious. Little Scorpion, come over here obediently. Divine light flashed in Zhao Ritian's eyes. In an instant, it became extremely hot and mysterious. It was as if it could pierce through everything, and it contained the light of destruction. In Zhao Ritian's eyes, there seemed to be an extremely mysterious ancient cauldron. It was flowing with yellow flames. Chaos rose around it, and the world was destroyed. It turned into a terrifying whirlpool that could devour all living things. The red-armored Scorpion King trembled. It was as if it had no strength to resist and was about to fly towards Zhao Ritian. That's Extreme Emperor's aura. Ling Xiao was shocked. He felt a trace of the Extreme Emperor's aura that was similar to the Flipping Sky Seal. However, it was stronger and more domineering than the Flipping Sky Seal. He was now certain that Zhao Ritian must have obtained the Great Emperor's inheritance. Otherwise, it was impossible for him to have such terrifying strength. Could the ancient cauldron in Zhao Ritian's eyes be a real Extreme Emperor weapon? At the thought of this, even Ling Xiao could not help but take in a breath of cold air. An Extreme Emperor weapon was a treasure that held the fate of the immortal sanctuaries. The reason why the 12 immortal sanctuaries could stand tall in the divine world for hundreds of millions of years, and the reason why the monarch tribes could maintain their transcendent and powerful status, was because of the existence of the Extreme Emperor weapon. If the Extreme Emperor weapon was fully awakened, it would be comparable to a real Great Emperor. Because of this, even if there were great emperors in the demon world, they would not dare to invade the divine world and start a war with the human race. In Zhao Ritian's eyes was the Flame Emperor Cauldron. When he saw how powerful the red-armored Scorpion King was, he instantly had the thought of subduing it. Therefore, he activated the Flame Emperor Cauldron and wanted to subdue the red-armored Scorpion King. When the little red bird saw the Flame Emperor Cauldron, there was a trace of fear in its eyes. Ritian, you're too careless. The Flame Emperor Cauldron is not something that you can activate as you wish. It's just a small red-armored Scorpion King. Why do you need to activate the Flame Emperor Cauldron? Second Uncle said helplessly. Don't worry, Second Uncle. The Flame Emperor Cauldron can refine all living things in the world. This red-armored Scorpion King is very powerful. As long as I refine it, I will have another powerful subordinate. It won't be able to fight against the Flame Emperor Cauldron. Zhao Ritian smiled proudly. Just as the red-armored Scorpion King was about to be sucked into the Flame Emperor Cauldron by Zhao Ritian, the red-armored Scorpion King suddenly let out a shrill roar. A mysterious rune exploded from the red-armored Scorpion King's body. Rumble. It seemed as if it had caused some kind of unforeseen event. The distant stone hall trembled violently. In an instant, a resplendent sun rose from it, and flew towards the red-armored Scorpion King. The red-armored Scorpion King's monster pill. No. It's not just a monster pill. What is it? Ling Xiao's gaze changed abruptly. He saw that in the bright sun, there was a yellow monster pill. There were 9 mysterious runes on it. However, on the monster pill, there was a finger bone. It was a golden human finger bone. Even the flesh on it was very clear. It gave off a terrifying fluctuation that made Ling Xiao's heart tremble. Chapter 1882. The golden finger bone looked ancient and mysterious. It emitted a terrifying wave of energy, as if it was filled with a mysterious aura. It was as if it was about to merge with the mysterious yellow demon core. The demonic pearl of the Red Scorpion King was slowly devouring the energy in the golden finger bone. Originally, the Red Scorpion King's demonic pearl would not be able to affect the golden finger bone. However, the demonic pearl of the Red Scorpion King was able to absorb some of the energy from the golden finger bone. Ling Xiao could feel that the demonic pearl of the Red Scorpion King had become extremely mysterious. Its aura was even stronger than that of a 9th Revolution half-saint. The 9 runes on it were dazzling, as though the 10th rune would appear at any time. Rumble. However, the golden finger bone exuded a terrifying aura that was vast and unparalleled. It was able to contend with the Flame Emperor Cauldron in Zhao Ritian's eyes. The golden finger bone shone brightly as halos spread out. It was as if an incomparably terrifying figure had appeared within it, causing the surrounding space to tremble violently. Extreme Emperor Aura. Extreme Emperor Aura again? Ling Xiao was in disbelief. The golden finger bone exuded an extreme Emperor aura that was not weaker than that of the Flame Emperor Cauldron. Ling Xiao had some guesses in his heart. The golden finger bone probably belonged to a Supreme Emperor. Otherwise, it would not be able to exude such a terrifying extreme Emperor aura. Boom! Originally, the Red Scorpion King was about to be devoured by Zhao Ritian's Flame Emperor Cauldron. However, the appearance of the Red Scorpion King's demonic pearl and golden finger bone gave the Red Scorpion King some strength to contend with Zhao Ritian. The golden finger bone and the Flame Emperor Cauldron clashed in the void. Both of them shone brightly as the extreme Emperor aura intertwined, causing the surrounding void to tremble violently. Terrifying rays of light burst out, causing Ling Xiao's heart to palpitate. The Flame Emperor Cauldron seemed to be enraged by the golden finger bone. In an instant, flames rose up like a dazzling sun. An invincible Supreme Emperor walked out of the endless flames and suppressed the golden finger bone. The golden finger bone seemed to have awakened with a strange spirituality. It was extremely mysterious. When it was suppressed by the Flame Emperor Cauldron, it was under immense pressure, but it did not give in. Zhao Ritian's face instantly turned green. Zhao Ritian, you bastard! You're in big trouble. That was actually the finger bone of a Supreme Emperor. Damn it! Why did you have to use the Yen Emperor Cauldron? With your current strength, you won't be able to hold on for long. If you can't subdue that finger bone, you'll be sucked dry by the Yen Emperor Cauldron. Second eldest uncle's exasperated voice rang in Zhao Ritian's mind. I didn't expect this Crimson Scorpion King to be so cunning. How could there be a Supreme Emperor's finger bone in that stone hall? Don't worry, I don't believe that the Flame Emperor Cauldron can't refine this finger bone. Zhao Ritian said, feeling wronged. In the end, he became a little ruthless and began to activate the Flame Emperor Cauldron with all his might, wanting to refine the golden finger bone. Rumble. Dazzling suns rose from Zhao Ritian's body. In an instant, they turned into 9 dazzling suns and merged into the Emperor Yen Cauldron at the same time. The Emperor Yen Cauldron shone even more brightly and dazzlingly. The surrounding void vibrated violently. The Flame Emperor Cauldron was like a divine sun. It floated in the endless chaos and started to devour the golden finger bone. The Crimson Scorpion King was scared out of his wits. Whether it was the Flame Emperor Cauldron or the golden finger bone, he had no way of resisting. He was floating between the Flame Emperor Cauldron and the golden finger bone. If it wasn't for the connection between his demonic core and the golden finger bone, he would have been turned into dust by the Supreme Emperor aura. Chirp! The little red three-legged golden crow noticed Zhao Ritian's state and revealed a trace of anxiety in its eyes. It let out a clear chirp and swooped down towards the golden finger bone, trying to push it away. Rumble. However, the Flame Emperor Cauldron was fighting against the golden finger bone. Although it wasn't as strong as a true Great Emperor, it wasn't too far off. An extremely mysterious Supreme Emperor Aura realm was formed between the two. The little red bird rushed in and was immediately confined by the Supreme Emperor Aura realm. An abundant divine power pressed down on the little red bird. Although the little red bird's body was covered in flames and its bloodline power was extremely powerful and it was desperately trying to resist the abundant divine power, its efforts were futile. Little red. Zhao Ritian's eyes revealed a trace of anxiety. However, there was nothing he could do at the moment. He could only watch as the little red bird's aura became weaker and weaker. Zhao Ritian, this kid, he's really done it this time. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he saw that something was wrong with Zhao Ritian's state. He immediately understood what was going on. Although Zhao Ritian had obtained the inheritance of a great emperor, he was only a sage to be. He wasn't able to fully activate the Supreme Emperor weapon. If he forcefully activated the Supreme Emperor weapon and was in a stalemate with the golden finger bone, he would be sucked into dust by the Supreme Emperor weapon sooner or later. It seems like I still have to save this kid. Ling Xiao smiled bitterly. Although he couldn't stand Zhao Ritian's arrogance, he didn't dislike him. Instead, he found it interesting. After all, they came from the mortal realm at the same time. Ling Xiao didn't want to see him die here. Swoosh. Just as Ling Xiao was about to reveal himself, there was a sudden sound of something breaking through the air. The sand in the distance trembled and a bright light exploded. A middle-aged Taoist wearing a yellow Taoist robe appeared in the stone hall in an instant. The middle-aged Taoist looked like an immortal. His skin was fair and his eyes were deep. He held a horsetail whisk in his hand and the aura around him was unfathomable. He had already reached the 9th Revolution Half-Saint realm. This is the legendary Supreme Emperor Aura. The middle-aged Taoist's eyes revealed a trace of shock. His body couldn't help but tremble. At this moment, the Yen Emperor Cauldron in Zhao Ritian's eyes seemed like it was about to fly out. It looked mysterious and had completely awakened. The golden finger bone also exploded with unparalleled power. The middle-aged Taoist's eyes were filled with greed. He looked deeply at Zhao Ritian and the red-armored Scorpion King and said, I didn't expect that the small Dan talisman boundary would have such a great opportunity. This kid must have the inheritance of a great emperor. It's all mine now. Rumble. The middle-aged Taoist's eyes were filled with murderous intent. He was extremely decisive as he charged towards Zhao Ritian. Blazing lightning gathered in his palm, containing a vast and mysterious energy fluctuation. It was as if he was going to smash Zhao Ritian into dust with a single punch. Lightning Emperor Technique? He's from the 9 Imperial Gates. Chapter 1883. The middle-aged Taoist's mastery of the Lightning Emperor technique was extremely high. Purple lightning gathered in his attack, containing the true meaning of the Lightning Tao. He wanted to kill Zhao Ritian. The middle-aged Taoist's eyes were sharp. He could see that Zhao Ritian was not in a good condition. He was in a stalemate with the golden finger bone. As long as he killed Zhao Ritian, the Emperor Yen Cauldron would become an ownerless object. He would then be able to obtain the Emperor Yen Cauldron and the golden finger bone. Damn it! Zhao Ritian's eyes were filled with rage. He did not expect someone to take advantage of him at this moment. However, he had placed all his energy on the Emperor Yen Cauldron. There was no way he could defend against the middle-aged Taoist's attack. Zhao Ritian was even prepared to take the middle-aged Taoist's attack head-on. Get lost! Suddenly, a loud roar exploded in the void. A huge black seal flew across the sky. It was spinning with a blazing light. It was heavy and ancient as it pressed down on the middle-aged Taoist's head. Ling Xiao had made his move. Moreover, he had used the flipping sky seal. What? This is... This is the flipping sky seal. The middle-aged Taoist's face changed. When he saw the huge black seal above his head, he could not help but exclaim. His eyes were filled with disbelief. Why would the flipping sky seal of the war god temple appear here? Could it be that the person who attacked was Long Outyan of the war god temple? The middle-aged Taoist's thoughts changed. However, when he felt the aura of the flipping sky seal above his head that made him tremble, he did not dare to continue attacking Zhao Ritian. In an instant, he raised both his palms and faced the flipping sky seal. Rumble. Terrifying lightning rose like a roaring thunder dragon. It blasted towards the flipping sky seal above his head. It exploded with a dazzling divine light. It was extremely terrifying. Crack. The blazing lightning exploded. In the sky full of light, the flipping sky seal suppressed everything. It broke through the endless lightning and smashed the middle-aged Taoist into the ground. It's you. Zhao Ritian's eyes revealed a complicated look. He did not expect to see Ling Xiao here. Moreover, Ling Xiao had saved him. Flipping sky seal. So it was really obtained by this kid. This guy is really lucky. Second uncle's surprised voice rang in Zhao Ritian's mind. Second uncle, do you know the flipping sky seal? Zhao Ritian asked curiously. You know him? Not only do we know each other, interesting. Second uncle chuckled. Rumble. The middle-aged Taoist soared into the sky from the ground. His aura became extremely chaotic. His face was pale and there was a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. He looked extremely miserable and his eyes were extremely gloomy. Long Outyan, I have no grudge against you. Why did you ambush me? The middle-aged Taoist stared at Ling Xiao and asked. He was furious. Zhao Ritian had offended Grand Elder Huang Tai before, and now he had appeared in Taishan City and attended the alchemy talisman ceremony. The middle-aged Taoist had decided that as soon as he left the small alchemy talisman realm, he would immediately send news of Ling Xiao back to his clan. No enmity. I just don't like you. What can you do about it? Ling Xiao smiled faintly, his expression calm and indifferent. Damn it. Zhao Ritian, don't think that you can do whatever you want just because you have the flipping sky seal. If you don't have the flipping sky seal, I can kill you like a dog. The middle-aged Taoist said angrily. What a boring assumption. If I had the cultivation of a 9th transformation half-saint, you wouldn't even be able to take one blow from me. I'm really curious. Why would someone from the 9 imperial gates secretly attend the alchemy talisman ceremony? Ling Xiao smiled coldly and stared at the middle-aged Taoist. His eyes were extremely cold. What does it have to do with you? Zhao Ritian, you don't know how many people are looking for you outside. I didn't expect you to hide here. You're dead. No one can save you now. The middle-aged Taoist looked at Ling Xiao coldly, but he already had the intention to retreat. Ling Xiao had the flipping sky seal in his hands. He could not take advantage of him at all. Instead, he was in danger of dying. Therefore, he had already decided to escape. As for the extreme Dao Emperor weapon on Zhao Ritian, he did not care about it for the time being. It seems like you're forcing me to kill you. You don't know what's good for you. Ling Xiao sneered. In an instant, a sharp radiance shot out from his palm. The flipping sky seal gave off a blazing light and flew towards the middle-aged Taoist again. Swoosh! The middle-aged Taoist's face changed. This time, he was already prepared. When the flipping sky seal flew towards him, he instantly shifted to the side. Rumble! The flipping sky seal landed in the void. However, its momentum did not decrease. It directly hit the golden finger bone in the distance. Unparalleled divine power exploded, causing the golden finger bone to tremble violently. Originally, the Emperor Yen Cauldron and the golden finger bone were in a state of balance. Now that Ling Xiao had used the flipping sky seal to suppress the golden finger bone, the balance was instantly broken. Boom! The Emperor Yen cauldron suddenly gave off an unparalleled radiance. Blazing flames rose up and an extremely violent aura exploded from Zhao Ritian's body. You're really courting death. Zhao Ritian's eyes were bloodshot and instantly landed on the middle-aged Taoist. What? The middle-aged Taoist's body trembled. Instantly, he felt his scalp go numb. His eyes were filled with incomparable terror. Immediately, he leaped up and fled madly into the distance. Trying to escape. Zhao Ritian sneered. He flew across the sky and punched towards the middle-aged Taoist. It was like a dazzling sun, giving off unparalleled divine radiance. At the same time, Ling Xiao controlled the flipping sky seal to suppress the middle-aged Taoist. Bastard! You're all dead. I'll make sure you die without a burial place. The middle-aged Taoist's eyes were filled with hatred. He was unable to withstand the combined attack of Zhao Ritian and Ling Xiao. Instantly, he gritted his teeth and took out the dazzling jade talisman. Then, he crushed it. Rumble. A dazzling radiance exploded from the jade talisman. It immediately enveloped the middle-aged Taoist and was about to teleport him out of the small pill talisman realm. Suppress. The flames in Zhao Ritian's eyes rose as he roared. In an instant, a blazing flame erupted and the Yen Emperor Cauldron appeared in the void, sealing off the entire area. Although the jade talisman contained an incomparably mysterious teleportation power, it was no match for the Emperor Yen Cauldron. In an instant, it was suppressed by the Emperor Yen Cauldron. The blazing flame immediately enveloped the middle-aged Taoist. The middle-aged Taoist let out an incomparably miserable shriek. His entire body was enveloped by the golden flame. His aura rapidly weakened and in an instant, he turned into nothingness. What a domineering extreme Dao Emperor weapon. Ling Xiao's heart skipped a beat. His eyes revealed a tinge of caution. He knew Zhao Ritian's character very well. He was afraid that this guy would attack him at the slightest provocation. Ling Xiao, what are you afraid of? Although I really want to suppress you, you've saved my life today. However, you have saved my life today. I, Zhao Ritian, am not an ungrateful person. I will let you go for now. Zhao Ritian looked at Ling Xiao with some evil intentions. He was eager to try, but in the end, he said helplessly. Chapter 1884. Zhao Ritian's biggest obsession was to defeat Ling Xiao. However, now wasn't the time. Ling Xiao had just saved his life and he couldn't do such an ungrateful thing. However, Zhao Ritian was confident that he could defeat Ling Xiao. He smiled proudly and said, Ling Xiao, just you wait. Not only will I defeat you, but I will also crush you in alchemy. The champion of the pill talisman ceremony this time will be me, Zhao Ritian. Crush me in alchemy? I'm looking forward to it. Ling Xiao said with a smile. He wasn't angry at all. Buzz. Zhao Ritian controlled the Flame Emperor Cauldron. Without the obstruction of the golden finger bone, he instantly absorbed the Red Scorpion King into the cauldron to refine it. His eyes were filled with excitement. Ling Xiao, this is the third Demon King expert that I have subdued in the small pill talisman boundary. Do you want me to give this Red Scorpion King to you? Consider it as repaying your kindness for saving my life. Zhao Ritian said proudly. The third Demon King. To be able to subdue so many Demon Kings, you're really something. However, forget about the Red Scorpion King. I'm not interested in it. Give me all the Red Scorpion roots in the Stone Hall. How about that? Ling Xiao smiled faintly. Red Scorpion roots? No problem. Zhao Ritian said nonchalantly. Although the Red Scorpion roots were precious and had even evolved into a origin source sacred medicine and gave birth to the Red Scorpion fruit, the Red Scorpion roots weren't the spiritual medicine that Zhao Ritian was looking for. Therefore, he didn't care about it. Thank you. Ling Xiao smiled faintly and collected all the Red Scorpion roots. Ling Xiao heaved a sigh of relief. After finding the red scorpion roots, he had collected all the spiritual medicines on the list and passed the assessment of the small pill talisman boundary. The scarlet scorpion root and the scarlet scorpion root were even more surprising. Ling Xiao was even thinking about how he could refine them into pills to increase his cultivation. During this period, Ling Xiao felt that his cultivation was still too weak. Not to mention Lin Shi, Xiao Rui, Huang Xuanzong, and the others, even Zhao Ritian's cultivation had already reached the 7th revolution half-saint realm. Although Ling Zhao's physical body was strong, cultivation was the foundation. Although he had the ambition of attaining sainthood through his body, it did not mean that he would give up on other aspects of cultivation. On the contrary, Ling Zhao's laws of the way, his soul, his body, and even his force of heart had never fallen behind. Rumble. Powerful auras gushed out one after another as the Yen Emperor cauldron in Zhao Ritian's eyes emitted blazing flames. 4 powerful auras rushed out from within and surrounded Zhao Ritian, looking extremely imposing. A little red bird, a crimson-armored scorpion king, a venomous wasp king whose entire body was glowing with golden light, and a pitch-black, incomparably majestic black bear. The poisonous wasp king and the black bear monster were actually refined and subdued by you? Ling Zhao's eyes revealed a hint of surprise as he looked at the few figures in the void. The wasp king and the black bear monster had also fallen into Zhao Ritian's hands. In addition to the little red bird and the red-armored scorpion king, the 4 demon kings were all powerful. Other than the black bear monster, who was slightly weaker, the other 3 demon kings were all powerful. They were not weaker than the peak 9th revolution half-saint. You know them. Hee, I was just outside the desert and coincidentally encountered the venomous wasp king and the black bear monster fighting. I killed the venomous wasp king and captured the wasp king and the black bear monster. Zhao Ritian laughed proudly. At this moment, he was surrounded by the 4 demon kings. His aura was overwhelming and he looked extremely majestic and mysterious. However, his face was too smug and his eyes were filled with a flaunting look. He looked a little despicable. You're amazing. Ling Zhao's eyes revealed a strange look. This Zhao Ritian was really too strong. When he thought of Zhao Ritian's unparalleled Great Emperor Fist technique and the terrifying Yen Emperor Cauldron, even Ling Xiao was a little jealous. This guy's luck was a little too good. Ling Xiao, this golden finger bone is for you. Since you're walking the path of becoming a saint with your physical body, perhaps you can try using the Extreme Emperor's aura to refine your physical body. However, you must know your limits. Don't play yourself to death. Zhao Ritian grabbed the golden finger bone from afar and threw it to Ling Xiao. The Extreme Emperor's aura of the Yen Emperor Cauldron was retracted and the golden finger bone became quiet again. However, the finger bone looked dazzling and there was a drop of golden blood in it. It was extremely exquisite and mysterious. When Zhao Ritian handed it over to Ling Xiao, there was a hint of reluctance in his eyes. However, he handed it over without hesitation. Are you sure you want to give this golden finger bone to me? Don't you know that this is the finger bone of an unparalleled great emperor? Ling Zhao's gaze turned serious as he looked at Zhao Ritian and asked seriously. It could be said that whether it was the Scarlet Scorpion Root or the Scarlet Armored Scorpion King, all of them added together could not compare to this golden finger bone. In fact, this golden finger bone was the most precious treasure in the small pill talisman realm. However, Zhao Ritian did not even blink when he took it out. This made Ling Xiao shocked and confused. I know. However, if you give this finger bone to me, I'll only refine it to increase my cultivation. It's more useful to you. Perhaps it can help you take that step. Zhao Ritian said slowly with a rare serious look on his face. All right. If that's the case, I won't be unreasonable. Thank you. Ling Xiao cupped his fists at Zhao Ritian and solemnly accepted the golden finger bone. Ling Xiao could even feel the wordless heavenly book trembling with excitement. However, Ling Xiao did not place the golden finger bone in the wordless heavenly book. If it was swallowed by the wordless heavenly book just like that, it would be a waste. Ling Xiao kept it in his small world and prepared to comprehend the golden finger bone. especially the drop of golden blood in the golden finger bone. Ling Xiao could faintly feel that it might contain a huge secret. Following that, Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian searched the entire stone hall. However, they did not find anything valuable. Moreover, the entire stone hall seemed ordinary. Even the mysterious halo that shrouded the stone hall had disappeared. It was as if the golden finger bone in the stone hall was the reason for the mysterious aura from before. After Ling Xiao kept the finger bone, the mysterious aura no longer existed. Ling Xiao, I'll take my leave first. I hope you can pass the test of the small pill talisman realm. Don't be eliminated here. That would be too boring. Zhao Ritian smiled proudly at Ling Xiao. Don't worry. As long as you're not eliminated, I won't be eliminated. I'll be waiting for you in the third stage. Chapter 1885. Whoosh. Zhao Ritian nodded his head and glanced at Ling Xiao. Instantly, he leaped into the sky and disappeared into the void. Ling Xiao looked at Zhao Ritian's disappearing figure and left the desert as well. Second uncle, that golden finger bone is extremely valuable. Why did you ask me to give it to Ling Xiao? Zhao Ritian asked curiously. That golden finger bone is indeed very valuable. It's a great emperor's finger bone. Even if you were to exchange it for dozens of perfect holy treasures, it wouldn't be a problem. However, that finger bone might not be of much use to you, but it's extremely valuable to Ling Xiao. If he could uncover the secret of the finger bone and even use the extreme emperor's aura to refine his body, he might be able to take that step and become a sage. You and Ling Xiao both came from the mortal realm. You don't have any deep grudges against him. It'll be beneficial for you to form a good relationship with him. After all, the great tribulation of the era isn't something that a single person can withstand. When the time comes, even an unparalleled great emperor can't guarantee that he'll be able to survive the great tribulation. Therefore, as long as there's a chance of survival, you have to fight for it. I can see that chance of survival from you and Ling Xiao. Second uncle said slowly. His voice was filled with emotions and vicissitudes. A chance of survival? All right. Zhao Ritian didn't quite understand, but he understood second uncle's words. It was worth it to form a good relationship with Ling Xiao just for a mere great emperor's finger bone. Let's go. Subduing the 3 demon kings in the small pill talisman realm is already a great reward. Let's go to the swamp and have a look. The last few spiritual herbs on your list should be there. Second uncle said slowly. Zhao Ritian nodded his head and flew towards the huge lake in the distance. More than half of the day had passed. In the small pill talisman realm, the battles between the people became more and more frequent. In the beginning, everyone entered the small pill talisman realm to search for the heavenly treasures on their lists. They fought against the demonic beasts and searched for various treasures. However, at the final moment, many of them couldn't hold back. Especially when the treasures on some people's lists overlapped. For a stock of spiritual medicine or even a gem, a huge battle would break out. Although tens of thousands of alchemists and talisman masters had participated in the alchemy talisman ceremony, many of them had been eliminated in less than a day. Moreover, many of them would have lost their lives in the minor alchemy talisman realm if Master Jiu hadn't given everyone a token. Ling Xiao left the desert and flew towards a barren mountain at the end of the desert. Lin Shi had sent a message to Ling Xiao, saying that Lin Shi and Jin Se were in that desolate mountain, searching for a kind of natural treasure. She wanted Ling Xiao to help. Whoosh! Ling Xiao's speed was extremely fast. He was like a bolt of lightning, traversing tens of thousands of meters in the blink of an eye. He quickly flew across the vast desert and arrived at the barren mountain. Ling Xiao saw Lin Shi and Jin Se in a barren mountain that was emitting a scorching hot aura. Zhao Ritian, you're here. Help me. The moment Lin Shi saw Ling Xiao, her eyes lit up. Jin Se, on the other hand, nodded at Ling Xiao. Her eyes were incomparably cold, like an ancient well without ripples. Help? Are you guys trying to activate this volcano? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed, revealing a trace of surprise. The barren mountain in front of him looked to be thousands of meters tall. The aura was scorching hot, and there was no vegetation growing on it. The rocks were a reddish-brown color. At the top of the mountain, there was a huge volcanic crater, emitting billowing smoke. It was as if lava would spurt out at any time. That barren mountain was actually a volcano, and it was a volcano that could erupt at any time. Lin Shi and Jin Se had set up a super-large array around the volcano. Blazing divine light intertwined, faintly intertwining with the volcano, as if mysterious flames were seeping out of the array. Ling Xiao could tell at a glance that this super-large-scale array that Lin Shi and Jin Se had set up was precisely to stimulate this dormant volcano before their eyes. That's right. This volcano is the legendary 8 Barren Fire Dragon Vein. There are natural treasures that both Jin Se and I need, so we have to expend so much effort to activate this volcano. Lin Shi laughed bitterly. 8 Barren Fire Dragon Vein. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. His majestic primordial spirit spread out, enveloping the entire mountain range. Even his primordial spirit went deep into the ground, only then did he realize that this barren mountain was extraordinary. With the volcano in front of him as the center, the surrounding 7 mountains were all in the shape of dragons. It was as if 8 majestic and mysterious dragons were lying dormant on the ground, and they were connected head to tail. The terrain was winding, and it was incomparably majestic. Under the 8 mountains, it was like a blazing furnace. The earth fire was incomparably strong, and it was so hot that even Ling Xiao's primordial spirit could not bear it. The volcano in front of him was the only exit for the underground furnace. The majestic underground flames and magma had to be spewed out through this volcano. This was indeed the 8 Barren Fire Dragon Vein mentioned in Feng Shui. I didn't expect that you guys would find such a strange place. Are you looking for the golden lotus of earthly fire or the fire seed of the dragon vein? Ling Xiao said with some surprise. Zhao Ritian, you have such a deep understanding of Feng Shui. That's right. The reason why we activated this volcano is for the earth fire golden lotus and the dragon vein kindling. On my list is the dragon vein kindling, and on Jin Se's list is the earth fire golden lotus. Lin Shi looked at Ling Xiao with some surprise and nodded. If you want to obtain the dragon vein kindling and the earth fire golden lotus, you need to activate this volcano and go to the mouth of the volcano to find these 2 treasures. You guys have already set up the array. Next, you just need to activate the array. I will activate the array for you. You guys can prepare to go to the mouth of the volcano to look for the dragon vein kindling and the earth fire golden lotus. Ling Xiao nodded and said. At the moment when the volcano was activated, the dragon vein kindling and the earth fire golden lotus were the easiest to obtain. This was the reason why Lin Shi and Jin Se had waited for Ling Xiao. However, Lin Shi originally wanted to activate the array personally to activate the volcano. She did not expect Ling Xiao to take the initiative to take over. Are you sure? Although this array is not very complicated, it requires a huge amount of saint energy. It's not that I look down on you, but you are only a 2nd revolution half-saint. I'm afraid it will be difficult for you to activate the array. Lin Shi said with a smile. After all, she was only a 9th revolution half-true saint. So, she found it difficult to fully activate the formation. If a 2nd revolution half-true saint were to activate the formation, he would have been sucked into dregs before the formation could be fully activated. So, she was afraid that a 2nd revolution half-true saint expert would be sucked into dregs before the formation could be fully activated. You guys should prepare to collect the dragon vein kindling and the earth fire golden lotus. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. He did not reply to Lin Shi directly. Instead, he suddenly struck out with his palm. Vast and vigorous saint energy surged out, penetrating through the void and directly merging into the large formation around the volcano. Rumble. Blazing divine light erupted, and the runes lit up one after another. The great array was slowly activated, and it began to emit a vast and ancient aura. Chapter 1886. Ling Xiao's body emitted a blazing light. The golden glow was incomparably dazzling. The majestic cultivation in his body poured into the formation, dyeing the entire area golden. The runes on the formation intertwined and turned into blazing flames. In the end, there were tens of thousands of flames gathered together and roasted the volcano. How can this kid have such majestic saint power? Lin Shi was a little shocked. Her eyes were filled with disbelief. Even if she personally took action, she would need to accumulate power for a while before she could fully activate the formation. However, after Ling Xiao took action, the formation was instantly activated. Moreover, the majestic saint power did not show any signs of exhaustion. This was not the saint power that a second transformation half-saint expert could possess. This made Lin Shi's heart tremble. Rumble. The 108,000 pores on Ling Xiao's body opened up. Each pore was like a spatial door, drawing in the majestic energy of heaven and earth from the surrounding void. Therefore, even though Ling Xiao poured a vast amount of saint energy into the formation, it did not affect him at all. Instead, it made the saint energy in his body purer and purer. The volcano is about to erupt. Jin Sei said calmly. There was a trace of surprise in her eyes. The volcano in the distance was being roasted by the endless flames. Its entire body emitted a dazzling light and began to tremble slightly. There were even wisps of green smoke permeating the air. Lin Shi could not help but be shocked. She temporarily suppressed the surprise in her heart and took a deep breath. Her eyes were filled with anticipation. The fire seed of the dragon vein was a top-grade treasure of heaven and earth. The earth-fire golden lotus was an origin source sacred medicine. These two treasures complemented each other and were almost lost in the divine world. After all, the fire seed of the 8 fire dragon vein was too difficult to find. As long as the fire seed of the dragon vein and the earth-fire golden lotus were collected, Lin Shi and Jin Sei would have all the treasures they needed. Rumble. The volcano's trembling became more and more violent. In the end, the flames rose and the surrounding void was somewhat distorted. A dazzling light bloomed in the volcano's crater. It became more and more gorgeous and dazzling. It directly turned into a pillar of fire that soared into the sky. The flame gushed out and soared into the sky. It looked like a giant flame tree. It was very magnificent and was even accompanied by a clear dragon's roar. Roar! 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 The dragon's roar shook the heavens and the earth. The earth trembled as if there was a dragon's vein rolling. The aura was very shocking. Endless flames fell from the sky, forming a blazing sea of fire. Thick smoke billowed and the fire dragon roared. The ancient volcano had completely erupted. Let's go! Lin Shi and Jin Sei glanced at each other, then instantly soared into the sky, rushing towards the mouth of the volcano. They could faintly feel that there were two vague yet familiar auras at the mouth of the volcano. They were the fluctuations of the fire seed of the dragon vein and the earth-fire golden lotus. Lin Shi and Jin Sei's speed was very fast, and they quickly reached the mouth of the volcano. In front of them was a sea of lava, and even though they had defensive treasures, the surrounding flames were so hot that even the void was slightly distorted, making them feel an immense pressure. Whoosh! A bright light flashed in Lin Shi's palm, and a bright bead appeared. It was the rare treasure, the fire-repelling bead. The magma and flames at the mouth of the volcano began to separate. A fire snake rolled up, and a faint spirit light filled the air. A large golden net appeared in Jin Sei's hand. She spread it out and dropped it into the magma at the mouth of the volcano. Roar! As the dragon's roar became louder and louder, a golden light flashed in the mouth of the volcano. It looked vaguely like a dragon, exuding a dragon's aura. It was very strange. It's the fire seed of the dragon vein. Lin Shi's eyes instantly lit up. Jin Sei's speed was also very fast. The moment she saw the golden light, she immediately activated the golden net to cover it. In the magma, it was as if a golden sun had jumped out of the sea of fire, and then it was directly covered by the golden net and pulled out of the mouth of the volcano. At this time, Lin Shi and Jin Se could clearly see that in the middle of the golden net, there was a fist-sized crimson stone. There seemed to be a dragon-shaped phantom flowing on top of it, and it was surrounded by blazing flames, looking mysterious and unfathomable. The fire seed of the dragon vein is in our hands. The earth fire golden lotus and the fire seed of the dragon vein were born together. It must be in the mouth of the volcano. Lin Shi said excitedly. When the 8 barren fire dragon vein erupted, the fire seed of the dragon vein would drift out of the mouth of the volcano to absorb the essence of heaven and earth. This was the best time to obtain the fire seed of the dragon vein. Otherwise, the fire seed of the dragon vein would escape back into the depths of the earth. At that time, with the terrifying power of the 8 barren fire dragon vein, even a sage would find it difficult to catch it. Now, while Ling Xiao activated the array and caused the volcano to erupt, Lin Shi and Jin Se took the opportunity to catch the fire seed of the dragon vein. The earth fire golden lotus is over there. Jin Se's eyes flashed and fell on a spot in the mouth of the volcano. There were flames spewing out and magma flowing. There was actually a golden lotus floating in the air, surrounded by blazing flames. If one didn't look carefully, they wouldn't be able to see it clearly. The golden lotus was extremely exquisite, like a spirit born from the flames. It was extremely dazzling. I'll catch the earth fire golden lotus. Lin Shi's body flashed as she rushed towards the mouth of the volcano. Whoosh! Whoosh! But at this time, the void suddenly became distorted, and a few figures appeared from afar, exuding a powerful aura. Boom! A huge palm pierced through the void and grabbed the golden net in Jin Se's hand, aiming for the fire seed of the dragon vein. On the other side, a purple horsetail whisk fell and turned into 3,000 blazing blades, rolling towards Lin Shi and the earth fire golden lotus. Who's there? Lin Shi's face changed as her eyes turned cold. 5 figures appeared above the volcano. One was a middle-aged old woman, another was an old Taoist in a purple robe, holding a horsetail whisk, a young man in white holding a folding fan, and a young man and woman in purple robes. The one who attacked Jin Se was the middle-aged old woman. She had a head of silver hair, a face full of wrinkles, and a pair of eyes that were filled with malice and coldness. The one who attacked Lin Shi was the old Taoist in purple robes. Although he looked sage-like, his face was arrogant and his attacks were ruthless, showing no mercy. Lin Shi and Jin Se didn't expect that when they were about to get the fire seed of the dragon vein and the earth fire golden lotus, they would encounter these strange people. Hand over the fire seed of the dragon vein and the earth fire golden lotus or die. The middle-aged old woman's voice was extremely hoarse, but she didn't hesitate to grab the fire seed of the dragon vein in the golden net.